All right, this is a fully comprehensive marketing masterclass for Skool to help you guys generate leads on Skool, off Skool, and ultimately just grow communities on Skool, whether you're a service provider like a copywriter like I am, or you have your own Skool community, which I also do. I'm going to show you guys both sides of the picture and some of the nuances that go into making copy effective on Skool. And so this is not like a super scripted video. I'm just going to literally give you guys everything that I've spent the last 18 months learning between growing multiple Skool communities of my own, helping multiple clients win the games. I'll show you guys. Like, I've got the graphics, I've got the pictures, and I'm going to do a bit of live copywriting, but just watch this and take action as you're watching it, because we're going to go from literally the start of like what your about page should look like on Skool or your client's about page to the actual marketing, messaging, the content at the very top of funnel, and all those little like pieces of content throughout the funnel. And this is just a marketing perspective on how to make money on Skool. All right, so let me make myself a bit smaller screen here. All right, okay, so yeah, marketing masterclass. So this is me. I won the Skool games back in August of last year. I scaled a community that was all based around copywriting. So it was half done for you copywriting for other Skool communities, and then the other half was me coaching freelancers. So those are the two avatars that I was working with when I won the Skool games. And I basically generated the bulk of that profit in the last week and a half, or like last 8 days of the Skool games. And I had to learn so much so fast. It was the craziest, most stressful time of my life. But because of that, it launched me into what I do now, which is a lot of done for you copywriting for Skool communities. And recently I've launched some cohorts and some high ticket products, which I'll show you guys how you can do that for your own clients or for yourself. All right. So this is kind of the timeline. Let me go back really quick. And I just want to see if I can make this a bit smaller so that it's not in the way. All right, sweet. Let's go back to play. Cool. So yeah, I'm a college dropout. I dropped out of college at 19. I was just about to get my associate's degree, dropped out in the spring, and I was basically just like, I'm going to figure this out. And I started with getting a job, a 9-to-5 job, because in my mind, it was unacceptable to just drop out of college and not make money. And I was living at home and I really wanted to move out. And so I started working 9 to 5, and then from there got so frustrated. I worked for about a year and a half. So anyone who's worked in corporate America or corporate wherever you're from for longer than that is going to laugh and be like, who is this girl to say she was fed up after a year and a half? But anywho, I wanted to move out. I was 22. So this was last spring, so about 18 months ago. Quit my job without any plan, and then basically just went and started trying to learn as much as I could about entrepreneurship. 1 week after that, I heard about Skool. And so I learned about copywriting really quick, needed to make money fast, and to me that seemed like the only option. So you can see I signed some clients, hit 10K in 30 days. From there, if you kind of follow, I'm going to put my pointer on again so you guys can see, I signed a client, Ted Carr, who is super high leverage. I had actually invested into his mastermind, and that's where I met a lot of my other clients, started doing some more outreach, and then got invited to go to Skool HQ right around the time that I hit my first 10K month. From there, I met a lot of other really influential people. I was reinvesting all of my money into events, and so there's a bit of warm outreach and a bit of actual in-person meetups going on here in this time period where I'm meeting people and building trust before I'm ever pitching them, and before they even know that I'm a copywriter. And so I'll get into some of the tactics of how I did that, but I talk about it in a lot of my YouTube content. Anyway, I worked with a lot of these big businesses. You probably can't even see them. But yeah, like Max Person's one of my clients. That's the picture here. Stephen Pope, Jesper, Ryan Schrupp. These are all Skool games winners who have generated millions of dollars on Skool. All right. So obviously I won the Skool games. And then after I won the Skool games myself, then people started reaching out to me asking if I could help them win the Skool games. And that's where things got really exciting. So I helped this woman here generate about $300,000. She started working with me. She was making $29,000 a month. And then at the end of that month, 3 weeks later, she came to me on like November 7th or 8th. And then at the end of the month, when the Skool games ended, she was making what you can see here, $322,000. So that's pretty exciting. And then obviously, like, there's another picture of Max. I don't know why I have two there. He's one of my biggest clients right now. But yeah, so I helped four Skool communities win the games in like the traditional Skool games where it was like high ticket, and then helped 2 low ticket communities win the games in the spring. So yeah, from there, that started to really build a brand for me. I still didn't really want to get too much into the coaching side of things, but I have created a lot of content around this and had a lot of people ask me questions about how I did this and how I've scaled these communities, and that's kind of what sparked the idea to make this masterclass. So that's what we're going to do here. All right, let's get into some like specific people's stories. So Maureen here, she was a really cool client. Let's not knock the camera over, Patrice. She was a really cool client. So Maureen basically came to me December, very, very early in the month, about December, I want to say it was like December 8th, similar time to Atina the month before, and she had never had a Skool community, didn't have any audience, didn't have any YouTube content she created, and she was working a 9-to-5 job, and on top of that, she was a single mom during Christmas time. All right, and she told me on the first call that she wanted to win the Skool games, and I laughed, and I was like, okay, cool, so January, right? And she was like, no, this month. And I was like, okay, let me go think about that. Let's get on another call. I've got to think about this. And basically, I was just in this mindset of like, do I really want to go through this again? Like, I just helped Atina win the Skool games the month before, generate $300K. That was crazy. But anyways, I came back, got on another call. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't turn down a good deal like that. And I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. I love like the adrenaline rush of like going for the Skool games. So December, I decided to go for the Skool games again with this woman, Maureen. And I basically told her on the call, I was like, listen, you got to be committed to making content. I know you work late, so that might mean 12 a.m., you're making content. You down to do that? She's like, yeah. And I was like, it's going to be a hustle, and you've got a daughter, and I'm assuming you want to prioritize your time with your daughter for, like, the Christmas season and stuff. And she's like, yeah. I was like, cool. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build you a team really quick, and we basically pieced together an entire offer and a team in a couple days, and then from there we launched ads. About 3 days after she signed on as a high-ticket client, 10K plus client, she launched the ads. We got all of that stuff filmed, so I scripted it in about 24 hours. She got it filmed. We launched it in 3 days, and then we started forming some partnerships, which I'm going to talk about later in this masterclass. But that was the leverage point that allowed her to scale, and she made, like you probably saw, $24,000 in 21 days as a brand new entrepreneur. So pretty cool right there, right? Yeah, 0 to 24 to win the games, 21 days. Literally, it says right here, she wrote, we had 0 MRR in December. This is a post she made in my community. But we had one massive goal. On the last day of the Skool games, we woke up with 15K MRR. We were number 15 on the leaderboard. So that means in the last like 12 hours, I guess that would be, because that was the last day that they woke up, that we woke up, and there's about 9K that we needed to make. So that was an intense day, as you can imagine. This was like right after the Skool games, or right after Christmas, we were going for the Skool games. So yeah. And then Atina, she was a month before Maureen. She was someone who came to me making about $29,000, like I said, and we went nuts with like a ton of promotional Skool copy and posts, comments, and then a lot of partnerships on Skool live streams and webinars. And that's why we were able to do that crazy number, because the partnerships we formed with Atina through these different webinars and live streams were basically giving her access to other people's audiences. So I'll get into that later on, but crazy story there, $322,000. This is me and her. She flew to the US. She's actually from Australia. She spent the last 2 weeks of the Skool games in the US, just absolutely hustling. She actually got to the point where she had to get an IV because it was so intense how much she was working. She was sleeping maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. Don't recommend that, but sometimes like at the Skool games, you literally like put everything else to the side. And yeah, I mean, anyone going for the Skool games knows. If you guys have gone for the Skool games, you probably pulled an all-nighter. It's just kind of part of the thing. But yeah, anyway, 32K in 72 hours. That was like in-person sales. You can see I'm right over there. What was really cool is this post was before the last day of the Skool games. The last day, we actually generated $100,000, which is insane. I've personally never done that for my own product, but it's pretty cool to do it for a client. All right, this is another guy, Michael, had no community, saw that I had won the Skool games, came to me, asked me, can you help me build a community for real estate? And at the time, he wasn't really doing too much coaching. He had never really done like group coaching before. So we were, again, kind of starting from scratch, similar to Maureen. But I built out his entire like about page section, his post outlines, his classroom outlines, all the things that I'm about to teach you guys about. And again, in about a month, this was a little over a month, about a month and 2 weeks, we generated $44,000, and this is MRR, which means it's coming back every month, which is really nice. So he's still got a massive community, which it's cool to see. This is Max. Let me make my camera a bit smaller. So this is currently one of my biggest clients, and yeah, he's won the Skool games like 4 times now, but currently we're running webinars every single month, and then with a combination of email copy, we're generating $280,000 a month, which is pretty dope. Still, like if you look at the Skool leaderboards, he's one of the top revenue generators across the entire platform, which is really, really cool to see. And he's got a free community that we market to, and that's got about 110,000 last I checked. And so I write posts for his free community, copy for his email list, and then the copy for his webinars, which can generate anywhere from 50 to 70K cash collected, which is really cool. All right, so next one. Yeah, it's just another picture of me and Max. This is a guy, Jesper. Just did a really quick project with him, actually. It was just a webinar, and on the webinar, this is his MRR for the Skool games, but the webinar we did was a month later, so I don't have the actual number in a screenshot because it's not public, but we did a webinar. It was just basically waitlist, and we got a bunch of people on a webinar and generated $40,000 with one call, so that's cool. Ted, he was one of my first clients, and then Jason, he's a type 1 diabetic coach, pretty cool, helps him get fit. But yeah, just kind of quick overview. Those are like some of the people that I've helped generate some crazy numbers for. But getting into the actual tactics of what we're going to cover in this course, because you're probably on here trying to figure out how the heck do I make money on Skool, whether you're a copywriter or you're building your own community, you want to coach people. We're going to get into what is like the difference between marketing on Skool and building a product here versus other info products. And then also what are the best traffic sources and how do you actually like present your community, market it, frame it, send traffic to it, and actually get people to care about it. So it's slightly different than some of the info products out there, but this is the new marketing playbook. Communities are going to be huge. If you look at any of the trajectories for the info market and then also how fast Skool is growing, we added about 100,000 people as far as how many people started businesses on the platform. So over 100K people started communities when Alex started promoting Skool. So if you saw Alex Hormozi's book launch, that was huge. And it's just continued to grow from there. So it's going to be big, and that's why I think this is really important for you to watch so you know what is different about Skool versus other platforms. So community-based marketing 2025 is the first thing we'll cover. The 2 growth paths, service versus coaching, and kind of the continuum in between, so you know exactly what your offer should look like and how to package it. And then buyer psychology on Skool, very different than other platforms, as well as the fastest growing niches that you can monetize on. So if you're still kind of trying to figure out your product or really refine who you're selling it to, that last one's going to be super valuable to you. Well, let's get right into it. This is not supposed to be drawn out or fluffy. We're going to get right into the nitty gritty. So how to get the most out of this community? So by that, I mean like the free community that you're in right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've got a free community linked below. That's where a lot of people are watching this. And I'm just going to show you really quick how to get the most out of that. And then we're going to get into these lessons. So you want to comment on other people's posts. That's going to boost your score on the leaderboard, which is going to allow you to post yourself, introduce yourself, make an introduction post. I will see that. I usually comment on that. So if you make an introduction post, I'll go and respond to you. Download the Skool app so that you see notifications. If I DM you or if I post or if someone comments on your post, you'll see that. Turn off notifications. I'll show you guys really quick how to do this because it is really annoying when you're getting slammed with notifications. So let's see. If I go to my settings, and this is exactly what you want to do as soon as you join this, you're going to see communities under your settings, all the communities that you're in. So for example, let me just go to this community, settings. This is one of my client communities. And I'm just going to go to notifications. And you can have the digest email be weekly, but honestly, you don't really need that. So I'm going to change that to never. Notifications email, you want to put that at never. Likes, you can keep that, but honestly, you don't need to. You don't need to know every time someone likes your post because you might get like 40 likes. People like you. All right, admin announcements, that's kind of good to know. I kind of want to know that. Event reminders, yeah, I'll keep that. So that's how I would change your notification settings because I personally do not want you getting spammed. If you want to get spammed, go for it. But if I were you, I would just silence the notifications and then watch the course. And there's going to be resources linked below these videos that you guys can use to literally plug and play the copywriting techniques I'm giving you. So you're going to get to take the copy that I wrote internally for my team and use it for your business or your client's business. So use that. I've never given it away for free before, so I'm actually a little nervous giving it away, but I trust you guys. All right, anyway. Let's go into community-based marketing, the first thing that we said we'd cover. All right, so community marketing in 2025 attracts people into a space like Skool, into a community where you nurture them daily. So it's more interaction-based than it is like broadcast-based. If you think about people going live or people making a YouTube video, that's like a broadcast. Like even this course, this is like a broadcast because you can't really communicate back with me. But when you go into the community, you make a post and you ask a question or you send a DM, now there's 2 ways of communication. So when you're building a community, you want to emphasize that two-way street. And notice some of the things I do with this course to really make this like a two-way communication vehicle because I don't want to just like blast information out because what if it's not the right information or what if, I'm pitching a product and it's just not hitting the pain point that my clients have. You want to really look at the communication of the community differently than you would building an Instagram audience or building, a YouTube audience, etc. Communities have 2 ways of communication. All right, so that's really important to know. Every post, comment, or live session becomes a marketing touch point. It doesn't mean that there's a pitch, but there's a marketing touch point. You're building trust, you're building rapport. And that is basically just gonna allow you to convert more people without ad spend. So really huge win there. And you can just see like some of these posts here. I make these posts, I share some resources, people comment, ask questions, and I can clarify. Or for example, like, Austin here, you're the best, always timely. Like, it's really good to hear. Like, it shows you that whatever you're posting is actually resonating. You can say like, oh, well, people are getting that kind of content or those kind of comments on YouTube, and I don't know what it is, but like, sure, they are, but the communication is so much better on Skool. Like, the actual owners of the group are more engaged, and we'll talk about how you can use that for networking purposes, but also like the members tend to be more engaged. So like, you'll have a higher per capita response rate on Skool than on any other platform. All right, this is like a great win from Jamie, which is basically marketing my product for me. So he's just sharing his win because it feels good to share your wins, but at the same time, it's marketing what's in my course by showing that it works. All right, so that's kind of the concept there. Let's go over here. So instead of chasing the next lead like you would in traditional marketing, community marketing compounds. So every single time you're posting, every single time you're adding to the classroom, every single time you're going out and like just being active on Skool, which trust me, I'm going to break down what that means. It's compounding. Members engage with each other. That also compounds. And that creates social proof, which attracts new prospects. So these people that made these posts in my community, we just won the Skool games, $40,000 in 3 days, made 4K in 46 days, thank you, Patrice. They're not just posting that to get feedback from me or to like say thank you to me. They're posting it because they also want, other people to pat them on the back and be like, great job, dude. Or maybe they even have their own product they want to market. Like, I know one of these people, Shane, where is he? Shane Swick, I just added $3,000 MRR last month. He has an ads agency. So, it's beneficial for him to post that because people may DM him and be like, hey, how did you do that, dude? That's super cool. I'm running ads too. Can you help me? That's how it happens in communities. And I'm going to show you guys how to make that happen more often because that's how I've gotten a lot of my leads. But for now, just know, like, it is way more profitable to get organic traffic on Skool or to nurture the traffic you do get to Skool from maybe YouTube or even if you're running paid ads. It's way more high leverage to nurture those people than it is to just run more ads and get more people in there and hope that tiny conversion rate just increases because there's more people there. Like, you're just burning money if you're doing that. But with communities, you don't have to. So let's get into like actually using Skool, right? Like service versus coaching. This is kind of where you decide what your offer is. And like really quick, before I even jump into like how you use your offer on Skool, let's like talk about how to use the platform, like period. If you're unfamiliar with Skool, this is really good just to like see. I don't know why I'm landing on this. Let's go to discovery first. So this is one of the first things you would see if you typed in skool.com. This is like top communities in every niche and you can filter them. So this is something I'll show you guys how to do when you're looking for leads. But just for now, let's go into the Skoolers community because it's really important that you know what the Skoolers community is. It's a collection of all the communities on Skool. So everything from relationships to fitness to make money to real estate, whatever it is. They're all in Skoolers and they all talk to each other and they share strategies. It's a great place for you to start to learn from other people that are crushing it on the platform. And then, yeah, basically any community you're in, let's just go to my free community. Any community you're in, you can go and engage with people. So I could write a post here. It could be like help with email subject lines. And I could say, hey, I'm writing XYZ kind of post. Can you give me some ideas for subject lines? All right, that's a really cool thing you can do. Let's like, oh yeah, there we go. You can also go and like engage with people. This is a thread of posts. Okay, this is like the main group chat. You could think of it like. Then there's a classroom. There's also ways to sell in the classroom that I'll teach you guys. The calendar, that's where you're gonna go live. You can 100% sell with these live streams. Members, that's just where you can see who's in here. The map, that shows you actually where everyone is, which is really useful if you're doing in-person events. Leaderboards, that shows you basically just who's the most active. And then your about page. I probably should have shown this first because it is the first thing people will see. But this is just what gets people to join. This is what they see before they click a little join now button that would normally be there. All right, so that's like a little quick tour of Skool. Let's get into the actual offers of service versus coaching because I do both and they're both really, really profitable. But you guys should be thinking about your skill set and your experience level when you're getting into business. And I'll tell you which one I think is easier to monetize, but there's benefits to both. So I'm going to be really objective here. I obviously started with a service business. It's really easy to monetize services because the deliverable of what you're getting somebody isn't something you have to sell really hard because the deliverable is the work you're going to do. So as long as they believe that you're not a total scammer, which like most people are not total scammers, then like they're much more likely to pay that price. Whereas with coaching, they want to see years of experience, or at least like some really big win that gives you the credibility to coach them. So if you're somebody that comes in with maybe you've got years of teaching experience, or you've got some big real estate portfolio, or you've got really good crypto investments, or you've made money with Shopify, or you are an AI legend, and you can teach people those skills. It's not that you necessarily have to have 5 years of experience, but you have to have a like capability level that is so far ahead of like the average person that they trust you to teach them. All right, so that's like something to think about. Like with coaching, I didn't actually even really feel comfortable coaching copywriters until I'd made over $1 million+ for my clients, and then I kind of like was like, okay, let me see if I can do this consistently, make sure it's not a freak accident. I made 2 million. Now I'm at the point where I've made 3 million for my clients, and now I'm taking on some coaching students. But like that's how you should look at it. Like how much ahead do you have to be in order to coach the people you actually want to work with? Something to think about. You could be one step ahead and coach beginners theoretically, but you're always going to be like scratching and clawing to stay ahead of them. So services could be, something where, there's spectrum that I'll get into, but it could be something where you're actually doing the marketing for a community, or you're helping them manage like the classroom, you're helping them upsell people, you're getting on sales calls, something like that, where your deliverable is actually like, basically you're trading time, and you want to be as efficient with the time that you trade as you can, but you are still trading time, and so they're willing to pay you a lot of money without you necessarily having like decades of experience. All right. So in services like copywriting, you do work for someone else. You do the work for someone. I would argue in either of these business models, you're working for somebody, whoever your client is, but you're doing it on your own terms. So you set the terms, they pay the price, now they're your client. All right. So for example, if a business needs emails or ads, you're going to write the copy. Whereas in coaching, you don't work for them, but rather you teach them to do it themselves. There's so many different things you can coach. Like if you're somebody that's really good at sports, there's basketball coaches on Skool making like $50K a month. I'm going to show you guys some screenshots of cool different niches, but there's so many things you can coach. So stick with me here and we'll see if we can't find you something to coach, then go into services. All right. Both work, and there's tons of options in between. So options range from completely done for you, like what I do when I write my clients' emails, to partially done for you with consulting. That's like something I do with clients where, maybe they want me to teach them how to write an email, or teach their VA how to write an email. And then I will write the email for them the first time, get on a consulting call, show them how I did it, and then give their VA or themselves some templates to do it themselves. So that's partially done for you with consulting. A setup, and then the customer carries on the work themselves. That's similar to the consulting, but maybe then like there's not a consulting call. Done with you, so that's literally just consulting calls, but you're going to do work live on those calls. I do that with a lot of my copywriting students. Coaching one-on-one, so that's a very hard kind of coaching to scale, because you're getting on one-on-one calls with people, but it is coaching nonetheless, and you're probably just going to be talking on most of those calls, maybe mapping out some ideas. Coaching group, so then you're getting on mastermind calls. Maybe you've got 10 people on a call, you're charging them $2K each, boom, that's 20K there, that's awesome. And you're just coaching the same topic you would coach one-on-one, but you're coaching it at scale. Coaching at scale, I would just say, is like when you're getting on a call and you've got like 30 people on there and you're charging them like 5 or 10K each, that's like some serious money there. And then the best leverage on your time theoretically, if you're in the coaching niche, is a one-time sale on a standalone course where you're not doing any live calls or any live coaching, you're just selling a course. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that because I like to help people implement, but that is something that you can do. It's the extreme level there. So yeah, this is just the continuum. Like the most hands-on is obviously the done for you. The most hands-off is like the one-time course. So yeah, this is kind of a continuum if you guys want to take a screenshot of this. Let me make my screen a little smaller. So you guys, by the way, feel free to take screenshots if you think that'd be helpful. I'm going to sip my coffee while you do that. Awesome. Buyer psychology on Skool. So human psychology when it comes to sales is generally the same, but there are some nuances just in terms of like the context they have, the niche you're in, and also just like how they're coming across you, because it's different when you're promoting a Skool community. Even if you're promoting it through traditional content, traditional funnels and all that, it is slightly different because they're joining a community as opposed to just like buying something or coming to an event or something like that. So we're going to get into that psychology. But on Skool, buyers are warm and trust driven. So they're often pre-sold if they've seen your name in other communities, or if they've seen your name a lot on other platforms on YouTube, or heard your name mentioned by other people. But they join for a clear end result. And that just means they have a dream outcome in mind, and you help them get that. So it's not a vague promise. It's not just support or like some feel-good community. I'll show you guys some bad examples of that. But the best communities market outcomes and only emphasize community purchase. Community is not going to be the deciding factor in a purchasing decision. Because think about it. If you're trying to sell community and you're trying to get people to just like buy into this idea that there's a bunch of really fun, exciting people in there, unless they already know the people inside, that's not going to sell them because they feel like they're joining this clique that they're not a part of yet. And the only thing that can convince them to join that clique is a clear end result. So you want to start with the end result and talk about the community and build them up inside once they've made that purchase in order to keep them inside. So it's like you sell them on the promise, and then what keeps them is the community, but it's not what you sell them on. If you use that in your marketing, it's going to be tough to convert people. All right, so yeah, let's go on to some examples here. So I'm going to I just have like my free community. I'm going to give you guys the example of that for something that I've refined a lot and would consider quite good as far as like promising an end result as opposed to something vague. So sign high ticket clients with organic content is the first line of my about page. But you can see right here in big bold print, better copy equals more sales. That is as simple as it gets. I'm not explaining a whole bunch of stuff. There's not even that many slides here. It's pretty simple. And this idea actually came from a study that I did on the top communities in every single niche on Skool. I basically just compiled what are the similarities, what are the things that they all have in common. And I just went and I took that and I was like, okay, there's only one thing. They're all so different. Some of them have VSLs, some of them have graphics, some of them don't. Some of them just have like 2 sentences in their description. Some of them have like 700 characters and like they're all different. And so there's one thing that they all had in common. And actually it surprised me because I wasn't doing enough of it on my about page. But you might be able to guess what it was if you look at my about page now. So looking here, you'll see, well, this is kind of a bad example. Let me go to the actual page because you can't even see these other 2 slides. So here we go. So we've got this graphic, and then we've got this graphic. So you guys can probably guess it's something along the lines of testimonials, results, proof. And that's what I would say is the commonalities. They all had proof. Some of them had video testimonials, some of them had screenshots, some of them had before and after pictures in the fitness niche, but they all had some type of proof. This is an example of a community that's simply not growing. So I saw this community and it's literally just their logo, What If, by Jen Ron. And I'll break down why this doesn't work. But also let's look at this first line of the copy. First thing Jennifer talks about is a community. And this is no hate to Jennifer. She may not have even started to try to build this yet. But like just for illustrative purposes, this is an example of a community that would be very hard to get people to join. Unless they know who Jen Ron is, which is, by that I mean like she had millions of followers, which I don't think she does. Join a supportive community to explore possibilities, share insights, and grow together. That is so vague, and I'll tell you why. Because explore possibility, share insights, and grow together are all words that mean something different to every single person that reads them. So share insights from like a doctor's perspective might mean like new medicine, new surgical procedures, new scientific discoveries. Whereas like share insights to a copywriter like myself is going to be like, hey, when I sent this subject line versus this subject line, look what happened with our open rates. But what's really interesting is like the click-through rate went down. And like that's the insight to me. Whereas like what Jen is doing is she's trying to get everyone in her group, and as a side effect, she's getting no one. So that's what I'll say about that. Also, nobody cares who you are unless you're famous. And that's just like the truth of it. So by name doesn't mean anything unless you have millions of followers. So I would not even bother putting your name on here. Your name is right there, very visible. You do not need to put it in your graphics. That's just a little side note. But yeah, like nobody cares about my name. I'm not famous enough that me attaching my name to this graphic would sell more. In fact, it would actually sell less because it detracts from the main message, which is make more sales. All right. So anyways, hopefully that example was helpful. I see it all the time. So that's like the most actionable thing so far in this video. So go and change that. If your about page is vague, make it clear. But let's get into the fastest growing niches. Like what Skool communities right now are taking off? What topics are they talking about? How are they leveraging content, organic content to grow their free communities or their paid communities? And what are people actually resonating with? So like I said, you can go and discover communities in this discovery. It's literally just skool.com. And you can go and check out like what people are growing. You can see all of these different niches at the top, just listed out. One of the ones that I've noticed recently taking off is the AI niche. You guys, AI is taking off already. But the people that are teaching AI automation specifically for businesses are also doing really, really well. So this guy, 193,000 subscribers, Nick Sarev, he's got 2.6K people paying him $184 a month, and he does no free community, nothing like that. He's just like cashing in on his YouTube audience, no sales calls. So that's one example. Another one is Nate Herc. He's also in the AI automation niche, crushing it. 2.4K members at $89 a month. Not quite where Nick is, but he's catching up. And then these are just some other really good niches. So this is that basketball coach I mentioned. He does about 50K total per month. So like sports niche topics like that, niche hobbies, those are doing really well in Skool right now. Another one that's doing really well is women's fitness and health, specifically for older women. I'm seeing that take off a lot right now. So this woman, she's got a lot of people in her community. She's crushing it, Petra. And then we've got the business education niche. So this is one of my clients, Max. But he basically just teaches people like how to drive traffic to Skool. And so he's crushing it. There's so many people coming to Skool, like I said at the beginning. There's hundreds of thousands of people on the platform, and he's helping them monetize. And so that is a niche that's just exponentially growing. This guy, he's in the relationship niche. That's another one that does really well. He is basically just like teaching men how to get dates and how to get girlfriends. And I don't know a ton about his niche, but he's been growing steadily every single month since I joined the platform. And there's several other communities. You know, you can swap the roles. There's girls teaching guys how to get dates, and there's girls teaching girls how to get dates, and obviously a guy teaching a guy. But one of my clients, actually, that I wrote an email sequence for, and then she won the games the next quarter, she helps men get dates, and she's in the relationship niche. I believe she charges low ticket. Actually, no, she definitely does, because she won the Skool games after they changed it to low ticket. So, yeah, her name's Gracie. So those are some of the trending topics right now on Skool. And you guys should be thinking about what are the hobbies you love, what are the things that like you're obsessed with. And even if you're a copywriter, you might be like, oh, well, my niche is copywriting. That's great, but who are you copywriting for? And it's not that you have to pick one thing, but it's that every single person you copyright, you should have some level of interest in what they do, at least some level. So that's something to think about just in terms of like what you actually specialize in on Skool, whether you're in services or whether you're in coaching. It's really important to know that. But keep in mind, all of these people are printing cash. All of these niches are working right now. And these are niches that can help you leverage your skill set, whether you're copywriting or a coach. And you can build a community like that, or you can help communities like that scale. So we just covered some of the top niches on Skool, some of the copy that works there, the different offers, and hopefully some of the fundamentals that are going to help you start to brainstorm what it is you're building on Skool, how to find the right kind of offer and attract the right kind of people, and sort of the messaging, some of those fundamentals. We're going to get into way more detail later in the course, but I want to show you guys something really quick. So basically, with all of these videos, I'm going to try and make them as actionable as possible and give you guys templates. Now, these are templates that I either created for my paid Skool community. Let me make myself full screen again. My paid Skool community, or for my done-for-you clients. I've never given these away for free before, so I'm trusting y'all. Use these wisely. And yeah, hopefully this is just as simple as like plug and play. You can go and basically play Mad Libs. If you guys ever played that as kids, like in the newspapers and stuff, where you just go and fill in the blank with like whatever word applies to you, whatever word you want. So, you know, you could take the structure of an offer, and for example, that's what I have templated, or is that even a word? I don't know. But that's what I have here linked in the Skool doc, and you can take this and you can customize it to your offer. And so this is an about page, because we talked a little bit about the promise of your offer, and there's a bunch of other things when it comes to content, emails, all that stuff that I'm going to give you guys as well. But like, for example, with this one, if I was to basically fill this in the blank, I might copy this, first of all. By the way, if you guys take these, just make your own copy of them. And it's something you should share with your team as well as you build that. So let's say achieve 10K per month in 60 days. I actually wouldn't say 10K per month. I would say like copywriting or something like that. 60 days without cold outreach. So for this offer, because to make money, I would actually probably frame it as a question. Want to scale your clientele in 60 days without cold outreach, question mark. That's how I would customize this to my offer. So you guys can like use a variation of this, but just go in and fill in the details that apply to your offer. And there's a few different ones, and I also included like examples. So yeah, and I'm going to be adding to these constantly. So they're like living documents that actually have relevant copy based on what's working for my clients. And I've built these out over like the last 18 months. I've spent so much time studying copy till like my eyes were bleeding. I spent so many late nights, and yeah, so just take this, use it. It works. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep crushing it. Talk soon. All right, we are going to be talking about copy that converts on Skool. And real quick, the reason you want to learn copywriting is because it is the fundamental skill behind all online sales. Everything you see has some type of copywriting, whether it's video, whether it's an ad, whether it's an email, whether it's a Skool About page, a graphic. They all have some type of words. And like, it's very rare that you're going to see an advertisement that's just a blank orange screen or like, some random design. There's still some type of copy somewhere in it, even if it's just the name of the product. That is copywriting. And so that's to, just paint the broad picture of why you need this. But getting really tactical on Skool, this is obviously a platform where people are communicating in comments, posts, VSLs, about pages, classroom modules, and DMs. And so you really want to be optimizing the way you write and the way you speak to people on this platform so that you can bring in organic leads from Skool. But then on the other side, to flip that coin, you also want to optimize your copy so that you can bring people to Skool. So you're optimizing the copy from your YouTube content. You're optimizing copy on LinkedIn. You're optimizing the copy in your emails. Wherever it is that your audience is or that you're looking to grow an audience, you want to get that copy dialed and you want to learn how to talk about your product like it's a science. You need to know what are the words that actually convert people into paying members? What are the words that get people onto my email list or into my free group? What are the words that get people onto live streams? All of that stuff. And so that's why copy is really expensive or really important. And we're going to kind of get into like the fundamentals without going too deep, but I'm going to give you guys templates so you can take action on all this stuff. But anyways, let's get into the kind of copy that converts on Skool. So what we're going to cover is bad copy versus good copy, core copy principles, clarity, benefits, proof, urgency, human tone, how to apply these to posts, emails, and about pages. And first of all, I just want to kind of contrast what bad copy looks like, because you guys probably see it all the time and maybe you recognize it, maybe you don't. Maybe you see copy and you're like, oh, AI wrote that, and you can tell right away. Or maybe you can't really tell and you're still kind of trying to figure out, how do I tell what actually is good copy? Well, you could start with the fundamental principle of, if you're tempted to buy the product, it's probably decent copy. Or it's just really, really like a pain point that you have. But generally speaking, if copy is starting to persuade you, then you're going to be able to tell it's good. But also, based on like who it's written for, if that product is super big or if that company is massive or that community is massive, they're probably investing a decent bit of their profit into their copy. So that's number one, is you can go and study the copy if you want really, really niche specific tactical copy that you could basically just like take and rewrite for your offer. That's where you start, is by looking at your competitors, but only the ones that are doing better than you. Because if they're just getting started and they're in the same boat as you might think like, oh, they're in the same boat as me. Like, that's super applicable to what I'm doing. But no, they're probably not investing into a top tier copywriter or a marketing team that knows what they're doing. They're probably still at the beginning stages where they're trying to figure out how to even talk to their audience. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not the person you want to study. So getting into good copy, this will help you really nail down what is the copy that I can study, what is the copy I can write, and how do I make sure that I'm hitting those check marks that are going to help me persuade people to do whatever the heck it is you want them to do at the end of reading your emails, posts, and watching your videos. All right, so let's break this down. Good copy talks about the customer. It uses first-person language. Here's what you get, not here's what I'll give you. You use their name, or you say you a lot. A lot of your sentences should start with you. You probably blah, 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 or I know you're blah, 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 or if you're anything like me. Those are good hooks, all right? Now you have to be careful with it, because if you start to write a lot of assumptions, or you start to kind of like put words in your customer's mouth, they don't like that. I don't know what it is, but I would just guess it's like, as human beings, we don't like people making assumptions about us, even if they're true. So I had a copywriting coach that taught me this. I spent thousands of dollars learning from this guy, and he was just basically like, unless you are assuming that people want to get fit, want to get rich, want to thrive in their social lives, want to have an incredible relationship, don't assume anything. Don't assume that they're struggling. Don't assume that they're busy. Don't assume anything. Because, or at least don't blatantly assume it. Don't say, I know you're busy. Because they're going to be like, how do you know that? You don't really know that, which means that you're just assuming something. And for some reason, people really don't like that. So that's a little tangent, but you want to talk about your customer. You want to use clear, simple words. And like, just to break that down, guys, a lot of new copywriters think, oh, if I use really complex grammar and all of this like industry specific, niche grammar and, just like this slang that my customer knows, or that makes me really like sound smart, I'm speaking at like, my college professor level, then people will buy from me. No, people will buy from you if they can understand what you're saying in like 0.5 seconds and they know that it hits the pain point that they're experiencing right then. And to do that, you need specific words. So you can't make vague promises like we talked about in the last video. You also need very simple reading levels, which just like tell you what I write. I always write copy at a 5th grade reading level or below. And it's not because my customers' leads are dumb. It's not because I think that they can't understand a 6th grade or a 7th grade or a 12th grade reading level. Most of them are actually like, educated people. But it's simply because if something is written at a 4th or a 5th grade reading level, you can understand it exponentially faster than if it's written at a 12th grade reading level where you've got to think and kind of translate and make sense of all these extra words and all this fancy verbiage. Nobody wants that. Not in sales copy, at least. If you're writing a poem, by all means. But nobody sells from poems. So keep your copy simple, keep it direct, and we'll get into some of the principles about length of copy. But something to keep in mind is you never want your copy to be longer than it absolutely has to be. And you want it to be as long as it absolutely needs to be. So I don't have a range to say, oh, your email should be this long or your post should be this long. But just keep in mind, if there's extra words that's kind of like filler, that's stuff that should go. That's fluff. All right? Your copy should have multiple hooks. So, your subject line is a hook that gets people to click into an email. Or your title of the school post is a hook that gets people to read the rest of the post. Or your YouTube title is a hook that gets people to watch the first few seconds of your video. But if you think about it, let's use the YouTube analogy. You need multiple hooks in order to not lose people in the first 30 seconds. So the first hook is a thumbnail, which gets them to read the title. And that title hooks them enough to get them to click. And then the first 5-10 seconds, they make a really quick judgment call on whether they click the right video. And then throughout that video, they're constantly thinking about other things they could be doing. And so you have to rehook them and rehook them. And if you study Mr. Beast, for example, he's constantly cutting to new scene, cutting to new challenge, cutting to new promise of what's going to be delivered in the video. And that's why people watch it. And he caters to probably the shortest attention spans that we have as a global population. He's catering to those people, the younger population who has been raised with screens and they don't really pay attention to stuff for very long. Just to generalize, it's kind of true, but yeah, you wanna think like that with your copy. Keep people on the edge of their seat, and you do that by constantly having little cliffhangers in your copy, creating these open loops of curiosity. So they're like, well, what is she gonna talk about? And a great example of this is let's say you're gonna write an email about a fitness offer. Let's say you help women lose 10 pounds after pregnancy. You could say, I just discovered a new technique that helps you shed belly fat without dieting. I know this sounds generic, just bear with me. So that's your initial hook. People click the email and you're like, this one's crazy. Okay, a little bit of a cliffhanger there, kind of generic, but this one's crazy, ... I never thought that I would lose these last 10 pounds because I wasn't willing to give up my ice cream at night or something. I'm just making this up, right? So you create another hook, basically. You haven't told them the strategy. Then for about 2 or 3 more sentences, you're going to continue to build up to that. I tried XYZ, it didn't work. I tried blah, 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 it didn't work. I tried this and that, it didn't work. And really at the end of the day, I thought that I would just have to settle for blah, 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 body type or whatever. And so you're still just digging into the pain point that you think your customer has. And you're not making any assumptions about them, by the way. You're telling a story. And then you're like, but then I discovered blah, blah, blah technique. You want to make it sound cool. Give it a USP. That just means unique selling proposition. So it just sounds cool. It sounds different. It sounds new. And then you're going to go from there and you're going to paint the picture of how their life is now. Now, I fit in the clothes that I used to wear pre-pregnancy. I literally look like I've got my 20-year-old body back again. I've got stronger muscles. I can keep up with the kids. I'm, wearing bikinis to the beach again or whatever. You paint the picture. You still haven't told them how. And so the customer's reading it because they want to know how you achieve that lifestyle or how you achieve that end result, that dream outcome that they also want. And you keep them reading by not giving it to them right at the start, but by painting a picture. And so then you could either have them click the link to find out what it is, or you could tell them what it is, be like, here's how you can get some, or here's how you can sample it or try it. There's a million different CTAs you could use. Point is, throughout that entire email that I just said out loud instead of writing, there's a lot of hooks, all right? All right, so multiple hooks. Now we're going to talk about results. I kind of alluded to that in that example, but results are like the actual visual picture of what happens after somebody works with you or joins your community or, etc., buys your product. So the result is like that thing that they want to achieve or that person they want to become or that amount of money they want to make, and it has to be specific. So it could be like the amount of money, it could be the amount of weight they want to lose, it could be the amount of muscle they want to build, it could be the amount of dates they want to go on if you're in the relationship niche, it could be, a specific kind of pain that they want to get out of, not emotional pain, by the way, that does not sell well, but like physical chronic pain is what I'm referring to. And we're going to get into the niches, and that's where I'm going to show you kind of like what niches actually work as far as like selling a 10K product or whatever it is you want to sell. Anyways, focus on the result of whatever it is you deliver or whatever your client delivers. And then paint the picture that I just did in the mind of the customer. So instead of saying like Susan lost 10 pounds, if we go back to that like weight loss niche, You could say, Susan woke up this morning feeling like something was different. She went over to the scale and hesitated for a second before stepping on. She looked down and could not believe what she saw. She finally hit XYZ amount of weight. You probably wouldn't say the amount of weight. You'd probably say like the number she'd been aiming for so long. She literally could feel the tears welling up as she went and grabbed the jeans that she had worn before having kids. For the first time in 4 years, she was able to button them or whatever. Like, that is so visual. It's like even as I'm saying it, I'm watching a movie in my head. And that's what you want to create for your leads. It's like they should be able to visualize it. People are such visual learners. And if your copy can paint a picture, not only is that like really fun for customers to read, it's way more engaging, but it also sets you aside from like AI, because AI cannot create visual copy. Trust me, I've tried to make it create visual copy for 18 months. It cannot do it. So if you're writing visual copy, your customers are going to be like, whoa, this is a good email. This is actually something I want to read. Unlike all of your competitors who are probably just using, generic AI copy. And one note on AI copy, by the way, before we go to the next slide, is that like if your competitors are using AI copy and you're spending the time to actually learn how to write well, you're automatically light years ahead of them because they're on borrowed time. And what I mean by that is like their customers might respond okay to that initial email that's written by AI. They might get a few people that join their about page that's written by AI, but they are slowly burning that trust because people feel the AI copy. You can tell when something's not visual. You can tell when it's just repeated versions of what you've already heard before, which, by the way, that's all AI can do right now is repeat other copy that's been used before. It cannot come up with a new scenario, a new story. It cannot be authentic like that. It can't relate to them. And so you can send some AI emails and your customers may not care at first because they're like, okay, they sent a couple kind of like non-relatable emails. But if you do that for a year, you're going to have an email list that doesn't open your emails, does not engage, and does not buy because it's just burning the trust. And so it's one thing to use AI and edit it and like make it your own, but if you're relying on AI, your trust is going down so fast. So that's why you really want to learn how to write this copy, and that's going to keep you way ahead of your competitors. Anyways, let's move on. Rant over. All right, so bad copy talks about themselves. So it's, the writer just talking about themselves, confuses people, focuses on features, uses fluffy language, kind of like what I talked about, just not direct. And it speaks to people as a group. So like if I start an email, I'm like, you guys are not going to believe this. It's kind of like, it's fine. But it also just like, if I'm reading that, I'm like, oh, right. Like this guy just sent this out to 5,000 other people or 10,000 or 20,000. And I don't really feel like it's for me. I feel like it's just this broadcast that's trying to make sales. And anything in that is only put in there with the intent of making a sale. And so now I don't really trust the copy. Even though without them saying you guys, I already knew that email was going out to hundreds of other people. I know that like these famous creators are not personally emailing me. Like you're not getting an email from Alex Hormozi. But if Alex Hormozi sent out an email, it's like, you guys got to listen up or whatever. That's not as like personal as reading like, you should listen to this or you should read this if you're a business owner making XYZ amount per year. All right, so hopefully you guys are like kind of picking up what I'm putting down there, but you just want to make it feel as personal as possible. All right, so copy can be long or short, but should never be longer than necessary. This example here is a post that I wrote probably like about a month and a half ago when I launched my first cohort. And this was just like a promotional piece of copy, super long, super visual, and it converted really, really well. So let's just read through it really quick. First of all, title, 12 months, $3 million on Skool. Super, super clear, very specific. People know what they're about to read about. All right, people typically overestimate what they can do in a day, but underestimate what they can do a year. Well, I've always been a little delusional. When I was 19, I told my mom I'd be a millionaire by 21. I was a couple years off. And I never saw this all happening. This post is to say you might be underestimating yourself right now. Okay, notice I didn't say you guys might be underestimating yourselves right now. Okay, that's what I mean about like personal. It's not that hard. It's just like tweak it so it's talking directly to them. All right, in fact, I'm quite sure you are. I read a book recently that said most people only ever tap into 40% of their potential. And I don't know where in the fictional universe the author pulled that number out of, but here's how I see the math. Look at people who've accomplished crazy things. People like Alexander the Great, Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln, Elon Musk. They did a ridiculous amount, whether you agree with their values or not, in a short period of time. They have their name in history and impacted hundreds of thousands of people with their life. They shaped culture and worked harder than most. No one expected these people to become who they did. Abraham Lincoln came from a financially destitute family and had to teach himself the principles of law, and yet he wrote some of the most jaw-dropping speeches in our nation's ever recorded. Mother Teresa lived in Calcutta, one of the poorest cities in the world, but she started an organization that now has global reach, has books and movies made about her, met the Pope, foreign leaders, and won the Nobel Peace Prize. Elon clocked 100 plus hours a week when building Tesla. Love him or hate him, the risks he's taken, the work he's put in rival almost any other human alive right now. You have it in you. These people aren't special. But you need to compare yourself to the people that constantly remind you that you can do more. I've been realizing this recently. Every time I speak to people in this community, many of you remind me of earlier versions of myself. Talented, resourceful, and just one system away from breakthrough. And I never planned on doing this so soon. See, I've been quietly building something alongside my agency for 3 months now. I don't do coaching. I work with clients, build their funnels, help them win the Skool games, run their webinars, help them generate 30 to 250K a month. But this week I decided to do something crazy. I asked you all last week if you prefer a cohort or an in-person event. A lot of people were interested in both. So I'm going to be launching a high-ticket combo where we build your funnel, we find your perfect clients, and drive lead flow that will keep coming for years. It's exactly what I did myself to get past 30K per month without more than 1,000 followers. So I'm handling objections, I'm painting my own credibility, I'm sharing stories that are inspirational. You guys, hopefully you're kind of seeing the different techniques I'm using here. And then obviously there's a little bit more in the pitch, and I've got CTA to book a call for that cohort that I mentioned. But like, look how long that post is. And look how like easy it was to read. It's not that there's a set amount of time. A lot of people think like copy has to be short to be good, but it's really just that it has to be engaging. It has to be something that's fun to read and easy to flow through. So core ingredients: tone, promise, proof, urgency. That's what makes really good copy. All right, tone. Let's talk about tone for a second, because a lot of people don't really know what this means. Does your copy feel like something a friend would send them? So like if you get an email in your inbox and it's just like 90% off for the last like 5 people that joined this program, you know that's a promotion. You're probably not going to buy it. You might click it because you're like, well, what is it? But it's not something that like looks like a friend sent it to you. Whereas like one of my best performing emails is just like name ? Or like, hey, name, is this you? It's just like, that's something a friend would send. That's something that maybe their mom would send them. And so that's something that there's a lot more trust built. You don't want your copy to feel like you're pitching. You want it to feel like you're just, sharing something that's valuable to them, or sending them a resource, or, even pitching a product, but something that you genuinely think will help them. People feel that. So that's part of tonality. Are you mimicking the way they speak? That's like to really get like practical with it. You want to look at the actual verbiage, the words that your audience uses. You want to look at the way that they speak, and then you want to boil that down to like a 4th or 5th grade reading level, and that's how you want to write. All right? And then let's get into promise. So promise is something that we talked about with the about pages, but there should be a promise in every piece of copy you write. So like a VSL, for example. A VSL is a video sales letter. A lot of people have them on their Skool about page, and it's something where you're basically like pitching your product in a video. So it usually starts with a promise, and I like to actually promise what my customers are going to learn in the video. So I might say something like, in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you guys how to go from absolutely broke to writing copy and making 6 figures a year from your laptop. That's a promise. And there's also a timestamp attached to it, which helps a lot. So does your reader know exactly what they're going to be reading or listening to? That's key number 1. Like in a YouTube video as well, you do that. In an email, I like to justify. I like to say, I'm writing this email because blah, 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 or thought you should know blah, 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 or this just happened and, that's why I'm sending this email. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of like skin that cat, but you want to make a promise at the beginning of your copy. Are they emotionally invested? So there's a lot of ways to get people emotionally invested. People are emotionally invested in stories. People are emotionally invested if you're talking about their personal pain points. People are emotionally invested if you make a promise of something they really want. So there's so many different ways to get people emotionally invested, but you want to make sure you're keeping them invested throughout the copy. You don't want to just get generic with it and get super pitchy. You want to keep it emotional, and one way to do that is just keep it visual. If you're talking about their goals or you're talking about their pain points and you're doing it visually, they're emotionally invested. So that's an easy way. And then I'm like joking. And the final thing is, the quantifiable part. Is your promise quantifiable? So like, notice when I said the weight loss thing, I said like 10 pounds, because that's measurable. Pounds are measurable, dollars are measurable, dates are measurable. Those are ways that you could actually solidify your promise in the mind of your buyer. And if they can't measure it, they won't buy it. That's just like, unfortunately, the truth. So people need to be able to measure your promise. They need to know if at the end of the 30 days in your community, they will be able to measure how successful they were. So if I promise somebody that I'm going to, increase their conversion rate by X amount, and then at the end of the 30 days, they can see their conversion rate and they can decide, okay, we were 100% successful, we were 50% successful, we were 200% successful. They have to be able to measure that. And without promising them a number, without promising them a specific thing, they can't actually know if they were successful. So that's something to keep in mind with your copy. Obviously, there's going to be points where you're writing about something that's really tough to quantify. You just always want to see, like, how how is the best way to make this something that's measurable? And yeah, proof is the biggest seller of them all. I talked about this. When I studied all of the different niches on Skool and the different performing about pages, it's the one thing that every about page has on Skool. So if you're building a community and you want people to actually join it and you want people to convert, you should be emphasizing proof. And if you don't have any, try and find some free clients, try and find some friends that you can work with so you can get at least a couple case studies. And so, fun story, let me make this full screen really quick. I actually signed like a fake client last April when I first started copywriting. And I was like, hey dude, he was my brother's friend and he had a construction business. And so I was like, I'm like specializing in like some ads and some like marketing right now. I know you have a business. Curious, like if you'd be down to work with me, not going to charge you or anything. All I ask is that you give me a testimonial at the end. And he was like, sure, like whatever. Yeah, cool. And so we worked together for about 30 days. We got like his business on Facebook. We started like promoting it, marketing it, and then increasing his prices. And he went from $6K a month, that was his best month previous, to I think it was $19.5K revenue and about $16K gross profit. So that was to me like really cool to see because it just showed me more than anything else that I knew what I was doing to a degree. And then I took that case study and I shared it with all my clients. It was actually really high leverage in a recent deal that I did with a guy, his name's Austin, who like has a construction-based like business where he like helps construction businesses. But anyways, the fact that I'd scaled that business was really high leverage to have like in my portfolio at the time. And I did that for free, but it paid off big time. So cool, let's go down. Well, let me use keyboard now. Anyway, is your reader confident that you're the person to deliver that promise? Proof means that you've done whatever it is you're promising before, or you've studied the people who have done it, or you've helped other people do it. Ideally, all of three. Ideally, you've studied the best in your game, you've done it yourself, and you've helped other people do it. Those are the three layers. And as many of them as you have, the better. If you like, at some point you will have all of them if you don't now. But that's going to help them trust you. Like if they can see the proof on the wall, then they're going to trust you. But also like in your sales copy, in your webinars, your live streams, your sales calls, like you want to build that trust by just being really, really honest about your promise, about your proof, about your product, about your process, like everything. You want to just be authentic. It's like when people ask me like, oh, like what should I change in this sales script or this webinar script or whatever it is? And it's like, if you're just honest, 9 times out of 10, that's the solution. Just be genuine. Like if people ask, can you make me a guarantee? I will literally tell them no. Because you're the one doing the work or you're the one, controlling the content or whatever. Like it would be ridiculous. If anyone makes you a guarantee, you should run because the work is on you and the risk is on you. So just be honest because it builds a lot of trust when I say that with people and like, they're like, oh yeah, true. Like if you were making me a guarantee, that'd be kind of salesy, right? Yeah. So will they envision themselves in your story? So if you can tell your story and you've accomplished something or your clients accomplished something, and you can tell that story in a visual way, then the reader will start to relate to them. And then when you get into the credibility part where you talk about your client's win or your own win, that's the part where the reader starts envisioning themselves winning, envisioning themselves accomplishing that outcome. And they're going to look to you as the authority of like how to actually do that, the authority of like who can actually help them. So that's proof. Now, the final thing I think we're going to talk about here is the urgency. So urgency is what actually gets people to take action. So why should the reader take action now instead of tomorrow? If you write an email and you've got no urgency and you're pitching like a call, you'll get some calls booked probably depending on your list size, depending on how good your copy is. It depends on a lot actually. You might not be writing good copy. You might be writing really good copy. But you will get so many more calls booked if you give them urgency. And that could mean limited spots. That could mean some type of like thing with the market. Like you could say info's blowing up right now. Like you should book a call before your competitors go and like build this before you or whatever. And you can also use like like an actual like increase in price, like a time kind of urgency. Like if you book it now versus in 24 hours, you'll get a 50% discount or whatever. But anyways, you want the reader to feel like they should take action now instead of tomorrow. And they should feel like, this is kind of like either or, but if you can make them feel like they're getting a deal that most people don't, that's a really, really good way to upsell and to just build trust or to build good relationships with people is like, if they feel like you're customizing the product a bit to them, then, and this is very specific to like high ticket products, but that's like a really, really good way to upsell people. I've done that a lot with my Done For You services. I've done it with my coaching as well. And if you customize one or two things that maybe were already parts of your product, but you just emphasize them because you know that they'll help one person more than another kind of person, then you're going to make them feel special. You're going to sell more. All right? Can anyone and everyone get what you're offering them? If they feel like anyone and everyone in the world can get what you're offering them, then you just like commoditize your service. It doesn't feel like it's something that's built for them. It doesn't feel like it's specific to their problem, and it doesn't feel like it's going to deliver exactly what they need. It just feels like it's kind of generic. So you want to make sure they feel like what you're offering them is unique. And like, one of the ways I've done this is like, I'll tell people, okay, like, so you're in this niche, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go and actually watch a couple masterclasses. Can you send me X, Y, and Z resources so I can make sure that we're writing copy that's going to speak to your avatar? And so like, they already know that most copywriters are not going to do that. They're not going to go and watch an 8-hour masterclass on their niche. But I do that. And I'll tell them, like, we need to get these questions dialed before we even start writing. Otherwise, like, the copy is not going to convert. Like, if I don't know all these details about your avatar, can't promise you anything. And I really want to, like, I don't want to work with someone that I can't promise that to. So, yeah, that's one of the ways. But I'll also sometimes like customize like a package for somebody, like as far as how many emails I offer them or how many calls I get on with them. Like I'll offer an extra call. I had a coaching student recently who she was like really confused about how to find leads on Skool and how to sign her first client. And I was like, let's just get on a call. Let's do it live. Let's find a client live. So that's how you make someone feel like they're getting something that not everyone else is getting. All right. Now I'm going to show you guys some reference copy to kind of hopefully like paint the picture here of what this really means, like when we're talking about being specific. All right, so let's go to the emails. I've just compiled all of the best emails here, and I'll read through this one email. I sent this for my client Max, who teaches Skool, basically, so this is very relevant. Okay, subject line, 15K from scratch. This performed really well, and I knew this was going to perform because we're speaking to people that are beginners in coaching, and we're like trying to help them get their first 10 to 15K. A lot of people reading this email had probably not even made 5K yet. So the fact that the number was small actually helped us here because it wasn't this like unfathomable amount of money. It was 15K and it was from scratch, which means, you know, this guy didn't have an advantage. So just as a reader looking at that, obviously it sounds like a little more realistic. All right. I'd rather give up nicotine gum than outsource my sales calls to random reps. Okay. So this is something that like is just a great way to start an email. An icebreaker or a joke at the beginning makes it feel human. AI is probably not going to write that for you. Also, note this. This is in a lot of my emails for this client, and it helps with like the retention throughout the email, just letting them know how long the email is, like just the read time. All right, emoji. You want to be careful with emojis in content, but this is a kind of like structure that ChatGPT won't do. If you're like going in and you're like putting emojis like in the middle of your sentence, like if I was to do like a call emoji and then I was to do like, you know, a person emoji for like the rep or whatever, like that would just look so like, ugh, it just looks like ChatGPT. Just don't do it. But this is fine. Certain tasks seem like they'd better be outsourced, but in fact, it's the highest leverage for you or your co-founders to do. All right. So now I'm getting into some value. Nathan's a course creator in Dubai. When Nathan joined my course last year, he did something a little unsexy. He followed every step I gave him. So it's like we're kind of like building a curiosity gap and then like breaking it down really simply. Okay. Nathan got 111 people to join his free community in just one day by creating content about it. He logged into course every day, and it was basically like Nathan was building his business with an expert team in his corner. Painting a picture, visual. One day he posted, need help converting free Skool members to paid. Throughout the next few days, we gave him tons of strategies designed to help him book calls. It took less than a couple days for Nathan to fix his funnel. He got booked every single day after that. And same as me, he didn't outsource them to random reps. Nathan did the stuff we're all secretly trying to automate away. He got on the Zoom calls himself, handled the objections, sent the DMs, wrote posts, rinsed, repeated. The result? 11K MRR, then 15K, and then 2 communities that are actually growing. So this is very specific, right? So we go through basically this part is just like getting people hooked, okay? We're being visual. We tell them where he's from. Like most times you're gonna be like, well, it's not even really necessary. It is. It's part of the story. It's helping the audience visualize something. They're painting a picture of who Nathan is in their mind, okay? Now we're relating to them. So we're going to go through and like paint step by step what he actually did because we want this audience to actually look at what Nathan's doing and be like, oh, I could go and like get, you know, I could put a post up about my community, get 1,100 or 111 people to join. And then we paint the picture of like the end result. And now it goes into teaching. Because when you or your founding team take sales calls, they close more and help your clients more. So now naturally, if you want the playbook we gave Nathan, join me live tomorrow, 11 a.m. EST, and I'll show you a few hundred other people how we're actually scaling to 10 million. So it might seem like this is the wrong move to say I'm showing you and a few other 100 people, But for the audience size that this creator has, that's not a lot. So it's actually a good thing. You don't, like, if you're starting with like no audience, I'd probably say I'm going to show you and 30 other people, you know, just kind of take that number and make it relevant to your audience size. You don't need to build this thing in a vacuum. If you're tired of pretending things just scale magically, let me know, or let me show you the system that actually works. Here's a link to grab a spot. We've already filled 70% of the spots. This is the urgency that I just talked about, okay? This is what gets people to take action now as opposed to putting it off till tomorrow. Because if you don't create urgency, they will put it off till tomorrow every single time. All right? Talk soon, Max. Cool. So that's an example of an email. So hopefully that illustrated like some of the stuff of like what I was talking about as far as like creating the urgency, having some proof, right? Like we gave proof. Obviously it worked. Nathan used the system. Now we're going to share that system. It works because Nathan just made it work. There's a promise. You know, if you want the same system that helped Nathan get 15K, click the link here. So that's the promise. But hopefully that just like illustrates it a bit for you guys. Let's go through one other piece. Like let's go through an Instagram story that did well. Okay, so this is kind of like a personal story. This is not a case study, but this is for the same client. I made a pretty big switch in our marketing this year, and it saved us 20K a month, okay? Ultra specific, straight. This is a curiosity gap. They want to know what the big switch is, and then we go and we rehook them with a very big number, okay? Anyone thinking about growing a course might want to copy this. Now we've just like identified the avatar. So all the people thinking about growing a course are going to keep watching. Last year, we scaled fast with ads. I was spending tens of thousands every single month, and cold traffic helped me grow a free community. But in 2025, I took a look at the funnel, and we changed everything. Okay, notice at the end of slide 2, there's another hook. We changed everything, ... So now they know it's not ads, it's something new that costs less money. So that sounds appealing. I realized our YouTube traffic was quietly generating better leads, and those leads were free. And not only that, but the organic calls converted better. So we paused all cold ads and shifted to YouTube as our main traffic source, ... Now people want to know kind of how that went. So my funnel looks very different from last year. For the first time this year, I'm doing a live masterclass this Saturday to show this new approach. So this is the part where you do the curiosity gap, but you put it behind not a paywall, but like a CTA. So they had to go and register for a free masterclass. And then, yeah, promise is that he's going to give them the exact steps that allowed him to scale to 250K a month. Save your seat here, get the exact funnel I'm using for free. All right, so you guys can kind of see the components come to life there, hopefully. And like, hopefully this also illustrates all the different types of copy you're going to use for Skool, because this is a Skool client of mine. So like emails are big, Instagram scripts for like video content, VSL scripts, welcome sequences, webinars. The other thing that's not in here is Skool posts, but there's so many pieces of copy that are super relevant for you guys to know. So that's that on that video, and I will see you guys in the next. And as always, take a look at the links below and, you know, grab any reference copy that I give you there. All right, guys, we are getting very close to making money on Skool. Hopefully you're taking this stuff, taking action, grabbing the templates and stuff that I linked below, because like I said, I don't usually give that stuff away. And if you're watching this from YouTube, the templates are inside my free community, which is linked below this video. So go there and get them. But anyways, this is the video where I'm going to teach you guys how to drive traffic from Skool, which is going to basically become just like a complementary source of organic leads in addition to YouTube. And we're going to talk about YouTube a little bit later. But when I won the Skool games, this is really exciting to me, because when I won the Skool games, I literally generated 60% of my leads organically from Skool. And then 40% of them came from YouTube. And now it's about the same split, honestly. I get a lot of leads from Skool. And you might think, oh, well, Patrice, that's just because like you're a copywriter and everyone on Skool needs copywriting. Great point, but also everyone on Skool, not everyone on Skool needs copywriting, not everyone on Skool needs fitness, not everyone on Skool needs like relationship advice, but a lot of people do. A lot of people in the business niche also would love, you know, some dating coaching. A lot of people in maybe the dating niche would also love some fitness help. A lot of people in the fitness niche would maybe love some like chronic pain support or something like that. There's so much overlap between these groups of people that literally any niche can get organic traffic from Skool. And I know every type of niche that is getting found on Discovery. There's this one lady I know, and she teaches like raw food recipes, and she's ranked something crazy like number 20 or something in her niche. And I'll show you guys what ranking means really quick. Basically, what that means is like people can find her really easily on Discovery. So let's just go to the Skool Discovery. And if like I go over to the health niche, then I can see, you know, these communities that are really active are ranked really high. So she's actually number 12. That's incredible. So this is a friend of mine, and because her community is so active, she's ranked really high on the Discovery page, which is awesome to see. Really cool. But yeah, like that's just like something that's going to help you drive organic traffic from Skool, and it's a result of like just having a really good community. But if you're also a service provider, you're like, I don't have a Skool community. Number one, you should consider starting a free community to capture leads in. And number two, there's other communities that you can leverage their organic traffic and their members. And I'm gonna show you guys how I did that. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm talking too much. What we'll cover: principles to write long-form nurture copy in posts and emails, sell without burning goodwill, capture new leads daily. So whether you're a service provider and you're doing marketing, you're doing copywriting, and you want to write these kind of posts for your clients and help them drive leads, or whether you are building your own community and you basically just want to fill that with really active, warmed up people that are excited to learn from you and excited to maybe buy your higher priced items, these copywriting principles are going to help you write posts that, number one, don't get deleted in other communities, because if you post in other communities and you're pitching, it's going to get deleted. So I'm going to show you how to write posts that don't get deleted, and I'm going to show you how to write posts that actually get your audience to take action. Whether or not there's like a direct CTA, this is one of like the most valuable skills you can have on Skool. And I don't care if all your traffic is coming from cold traffic or like cold ads or YouTube or whatever, you can be leveraging Skool discovery. And like I said at the beginning of this course, 100,000 plus people just started communities, let alone the millions of people that have just joined Skool as users. So there's so many people on this platform, you should be thinking of it as a social media at this point. So let's talk about posts for a second. So I'll show you some good posts. We already went over one of the posts that I did, but like some good posts in Skoolers, for example, which is a collection of all the communities on Skool. If I go to my profile, I'll find like a post. Let's make the minimum criteria. It has to have 100 likes. So yeah, 92, 115. Okay. Does your about page matter? This is the way that I just promoted a YouTube video that I had recorded and just talked about some of the things I'd learned about Skool about pages. So you guys could go find this post and watch it if you want. But let's find another one. So 102 likes. Skool Games winner checklist. So I'm only posting content that is relevant to the community I'm posting it in. So that's the first thing you want to note with these posts. I don't have any CTA, and I'm always telling a story. So in like this example, I'm talking about the checklist for Skool Games winners, and I give some proof at the beginning. In the last 2 months, I've worked with 3 communities to win the Skool Games. I personally won the Skool Games myself in August. And here's what these communities all had in common. They had a clear avatar. And then I actually give proof. I tag the people that I'm talking about. And so this is valuable to the people in this community because a lot of them wanted to win the Skool Games. I talk about why people buy. I give them some easy checklists, some questions to answer. And then there's also more proof with this picture of one of my clients winning the Skool Games. So right there, you have kind of the checklist of what makes a good post. But something to note is that like there's not an ideal length of posts. Some of these are really, really long, and some of them are really short. So this is a long post, average length, I guess. But let's see if we can find one that's like really short. So this is the 3 things I learned after making 10K. This is a pretty short one. With Skool DMs, very specific and story-based. So those are some things that you guys want to keep in mind if you're making posts on Skool. Keep them specific, keep them story-based, and this also is what I do in my free community. So my own posts in here are specific and story-based as well. Let's just go back a couple pages and let's see. Like, what's a good like value post? Yeah, difference between making 50K and making $0. Very specific, very short sentences, which makes it easy to read. And yeah, it's the same difference between my clients who make 50K a month and the people I've seen struggling to get calls booked and CTA to a YouTube video. So this is strategic because the YouTube video has a CTA to book a call, but the post doesn't. So that keeps goodwill. And yeah, you can see people loved it. So that's on Skool posts. Like whether you're posting in your own free community or you're going to post in someone else's community, like let's say I was going to go post in low carb Skool, which I actually did. And I have this as an example. Couple slides from now, but I'm just going to show you guys now because I think this is really relevant. I posted a question and I just explained my situation. I almost spent 30K on stem cells last month. True story. I want to see if I can get the same effect without getting cells and just doing some like long fasts. And so I asked some questions and I tagged the owner of the community. And my goal here is to get a conversation going with the owner so that I can then pitch him on how I think he should have a higher ticket mastermind or some kind of in-person event. Look at all this stuff that he sent me. So cool. So now like I'm starting to build a brand on like these other community pages. That's high leverage, okay? Emails are pretty much the same as Skool posts. Like the emails I write for my clients, the only difference is like the type of hooks that I use and the type of CTAs and the way I sign them off. But generally they're telling a story either about someone in a community or something that happened to the creator of the community. And it's just going to go through the story. And then at the end, there's going to be a CTA either, if you want the same system I use to accomplish X, Y, and Z, book a call here. Or if you want the same system I gave to this person, book a call here. Sometimes they're a little shorter and more direct of a pitch, but they're always very friendly. They're always very casual, conversational, all those things that ChatGPT can't do. And they just feel authentic. And so I think that's a really key thing to like keep in mind when you're writing emails for your community is like you want to make them feel genuine. You want to make them feel like they're from a friend to a friend. It's a genuine advice you would give to like your brother or your sister if they were starting, XYZ journey, whatever you do, whatever your niche is. But another thing to keep in mind is if you were to blast out a Skool post versus send an email from your CRM, the open rate for Skool is like 70+%, whereas the average open rate for emails is like 30 to 40%. Depends on how many people you're blasting out to and a lot of other factors, but that's like industry standards in info. So keep that in mind because you can just do this neat little thing where you go to your community, and this is assuming you have a community. You could do this and like send an email to all members. I can't do it now because I think I just sent one, but let's see. I think I sent one a couple days ago. You can basically do this every 72 hours. Yeah, so I can only send it in 43 hours. That makes sense because I actually already did that. So cool. That's Skool posts and emails. You want to use very specific verbiage in the title. So I think I've got a document I can actually share with you guys on like email subject lines. Let's see. I've got a email template here if it'll load. And this is basically if you're just wanting to promote a YouTube video to your email list. This is like an example of a client that did it. Let's see if we've got short form reels. DIC email template. This is another type of like format. It stands for disrupt, intrigue, and click. And so I've got a template for this, but basically you want some disruptive email subject line. Name your desired result is waiting for you. So that could mean like, Patrice, your 10K month is waiting for you. Or Patrice, you're probably too busy to read this. Or Patrice, or no, not Patrice, get 10K a month in 30 days. Patrice, is this you? So these are just some like examples. And then I've got this all templatized for the email. So you basically just go in and swap out anything in brackets for the verbiage that would correspond with your niche. Okay, my goal is actually to show you guys like some email subject lines. So let me just find those. See if I can pull up like top 10 top 10. So I want to just kind of like explain why these work on Skool because most of the copywriting I do is on Skool. And so all the copy that I've written that just sounds generic, like emails, ads, like Instagram, YouTube, it's all actually Skool niche because all of my clients are Skool clients. So motivation is dead. Do this instead. Kind of rhymes. That's cool. Secrets behind 230K monthly revenue. 6 habits behind my 230K a month community. Revealed. Community building secrets. Perfection killed your business. Why recessions create millionaires. Ford. This guy doubled his money in 2 weeks. From basketball coach to 63K a month on Skool. Note for contact name. So that would be like note for Patrice. These are just some subject lines that work really freaking well. So you obviously want to make sure your preview text, if you're going to write preview text in an email, is like going to correspond with the subject. And then your close should also reference or at least align with the subject line. So your close is just what you're ending your email on, the CTA. It should reference back to that. So for example, like continuing from above, book a strategy session here and we'll give you a set of systems we already spent 12 months perfecting so you can launch and refine as you go. All right. So basically that's just referencing if we were to talk about these 230K a month ones. Okay. Let me see. Do I have anything else? Yeah. So the other kind of emails that you're going to send from a Skool community is a welcome sequence. Those are the emails that get fired off as people join your free community. And it's kind of how you can get initial calls and sales like you get just initial conversions because people are going to read those emails in the first week of joining your community or the first 15 days, depending on how long it is. But this is a completely templatized email welcome sequence that takes them from like just basically finding you. So you build some goodwill here. You're here, excited if you can't tell. This means I found another person who's interested in a niche subject, looking to either maybe like lose 10 pounds or build muscle or fit into their old jeans or maybe all three. Well, name, let me tell you something somewhat controversial. And then start emoji. So this just goes through, like obviously at the beginning we're making a lot of jokes, we're building a lot of trust, and then we start pitching around like email 4, I believe. So I tried something different. Okay, so now we're telling the story. Cheat code, gurus and experts, link still works, hope to meet you. Urgency, if the link still works, I hope to meet you. That is a tactic, guys. Obviously, I don't share these with everyone because they wouldn't work if I did. But yeah, anyways, let's cancel this post. Okay. Anyways, if you do have a Skool community and you're looking to get your members' emails, one way you can do it is you can go to the members tab and you can export, or you just set up like a simple Zapier plugin, which is going to zap new members as soon as they join, and you can connect that with Go High Level or whatever CRM you're using to start firing off those emails automatically. It's pretty simple. And there's a ton of videos on YouTube just how to set up Zapier. But basically it's like, you take 10 minutes, set up a Zap. And then as soon as they join your community, they're going to start getting those emails as long as you set them up in your CRM, which most people on Skool, as far as I know, are using Go High Level. A couple people use ActiveCampaign as well. Don't know if anyone's really using like Klaviyo or anything like that, but yeah, those are the main ones. So anyways, that's emails. About pages, okay? So the copy on the about page we've talked about, but basically to break it down, we talked about the promise. That's this. You want that to be very specific. Sign high-ticket clients with organic content. That's my promise. And then you want to get into some proof. So using the same strategies I used to win the Skool games, generate $50K a month, and generate $3 million for Skool communities. I could probably just say for my clients. That would probably be better. What's inside? Copywriting masterclass, my plug-and-play copywriting templates. So this is just like a very high-level overview of what's inside. I like to keep this really short. Ready to build a profitable funnel, see you inside, or looking to work with me one-on-one, and there's a link. Okay, this is very, very simple. It's proof-based, so I use a lot of different like versions of proof. One is a picture of me with Hormozy, one is like some student successes, and then one is just like client successes. So those are different kinds of proof. Obviously, like some people use video testimonials, some people just use like their own personal journey as their proof, and then they get some client results, and then they bring it in later. But you want to have some kind of proof on the about page, all right? So let's go back to our slide deck. Keep in mind all that copy we just talked about, because those all go into creating your brand the way you talk to your own audience. But now I'm going to talk about actually creating a brand on Skool, and creating a brand through content that's like actually gonna, like, people should read your copy and know that it's from you. Like, they should be able to tell, and maybe not first, because maybe at first you're just using other people's templates, like maybe you're using mine, and so it sounds a little bit more like me, but you start to customize it, and you start to figure out what resonates and what gets clicks and what gets opens, and then you start to really build like a combination of copy that resonates with your audience and copy that you like writing. And that's where you start to have a brand and people start to recognize you. Like Alex Hormozy copy is very different than Frank Kern copy, which is very different than Russell Brunson copy. And those are all just people that have massive brands, but they write differently. And so that's something that you really want to start to curate and keep that in mind. So your brand is going to start and like grow organically off Skool. But if you're building it on Skool as well, that's where we talk about like the organic traffic internally on Skool with all those leads. But that's for the next video. So I will talk to you guys soon. All right, let's talk about brand. So branding on Skool and branding off Skool are going to lead to a really good customer culture. It's also going to lead to easier conversions, because if people know you and they trust your face and they've seen you in a few different places, then all of a sudden your sales are easier because the trust is higher. It's simple. But your brand starts with the kind of content you create on like YouTube, Instagram, those organic traffics, because that's where a lot of people are going to discover you. And then how you basically upsell and add value to and nurture the leads inside your free. As well as how you engage with people outside of your community. So you shouldn't just be generating leads on YouTube and creating a really cool brand there. You should also be creating it on Skool, because like I said, those leads are like pre-sold basically. They're already there to learn. So it's kind of like if I were to compare it to another audience quality, it's like LinkedIn or YouTube. Like people typically go on those platforms, at least in your niche, they're going on those platforms to learn something, to search something, to find an answer, to connect with someone. And it's very similar in Skool. Like no one's joining Skool just to have fun most times. Not like, obviously there's some niches that are just basketball or something that's like really fun, but a lot of the times people are joining Skool because they want to learn something. Even with basketball, they want to learn how to be better. And so they're more likely to purchase something if you've got an upsell. But yeah, let's get into it. So like building your brand is going to carry forward into every other product that you do. Your presence on Skool determines your brand. And that applies to, you can swap that word for YouTube, you can swap it for Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you're building your brand. I would recommend Skool and YouTube, like I've been saying. But this means how you show up in your community and list, your email list, how you show up in Skoolers, the community of communities, which by the way, you have to have a community to be in, and how you show up in other communities. So what we'll cover, how to get organic leads on Skool, what communities want, commenting on other communities, partnerships, which I mentioned before, help my clients win the games a lot, and then posting. So you want to make sure all of these things are aligned with the brand that you want to have. All right, let's talk about organic leads on Skool. So first of all, getting organic leads on Skool requires people to trust requires, I'm like tripping myself up here. It requires trust inside communities where people are already warm. All right, so when you engage, you start to build awareness of who you are, and as you continue to engage, you start to build a brand. But the brand is really based on the promise and the proof that you have behind your product. So instead of cold outreach, your posts and interactions naturally attract leads by sharing your learnings and skills. All right, this is a Schoolers community. There's 172.5 thousand people in that community, which is insane. At any given time, there's thousands of people online, and so if you post something in there, like, you obviously, there's those standards I said, like, you're not pitching, you want to share things, you want to use stories and use proof and not teach things, but rather share stories. That's where you can start to build a brand, and people can find you in all different niches. So I actually used Schoolers to probably bring in about like 70% of my free community people. And like I said, 60% of my sales during the Skool games came from other interactions and other posts in Skool communities. So all organic from Skool. And the other 40% came from YouTube. So communities want engagement relevant to what they teach. If you're going to go and post in a community, keep it relevant and look at what the most liked and commented posts in a group are and create content around like similar questions and struggles. Like, you want to just like basically be a valuable member in a community, and that means like keeping things on topic. That means keeping people excited, engaged, making the creator of the community look good. Those are the kind of things you want to keep in mind. So, for example, this post I told you guys about, like, I didn't go in this low carb school and be like, hey, like, guy who owns this community, why don't you start a high ticket upsell and like start pitching my copywriting services? Because this is like a health and wellness community, and that would be irrelevant. Instead, I talked about something I'm actually interested in, a fast that I was actually considering doing, told a real life story, and got into comment. And now I've started to build a little bit of awareness on his community like platform. And now if I do that a couple more times and then I DM him or something, or I get on a call with him, he's much more likely to become a client. So that's something to keep in mind for you copywriters out there. But also, if you're like building a real estate community and you're going into other big real estate communities, you don't want to like go and just pitch your service. You want to talk about the questions and the struggles and the things that the people in that community are actually talking about. So a bad example of this is like, I'll give a bad and a good because there's two right here. So what are you guys doing specifically to improve your copy every day? Super relevant. This guy is obviously a copywriter or at least a business owner, and he's talking about what everyone in my community wants to improve, which is their copy. And then this one is a bad example. Big news. I'm building my store for success. This lady's just talking about her like e-commerce Shopify store, which is irrelevant to my offer. So she's obviously somebody that probably got banned. But yeah, you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to get yourself deleted or banned from a community because you're just promoting your stuff. You want to build a brand. You do that by actually giving value. And value posts, we'll get into that. They've kind of been like taken and destroyed because people don't really know what value is. They think it's just preaching and lecturing when really it's sharing actual tried strategies from people that have actually done them. So like if you're brand new to copywriting and you want to go and make a post about how to make 100K and you've never done it yourself, or you want to go and teach people how to start a Skool community and you've never made money on Skool, you're in the wrong place. That is not what you should be doing, and it's actually like going to destroy your brand long term. So when commenting in other communities, be curious. Ask questions or provide answers, but always stay humble. So I like to preface a lot of posts with like, hey, like, here's a strategy that worked for me. If you're already crushing it with your strategy, ignore this, but this is for people that want to try X, Y, Z. And then that keeps it like all in perspective so that no one feels like I'm like telling them they should do this. This is a great example. So this guy posted in a business community asking for feedback on basically the name of his group. And he just listed a couple names and asked people to vote. And I just went and I did a whole bunch of research. And I said, hey, just took a look at both your websites. Awesome business. What a cool podcast. Will you market the Skool community through your podcast, I'm guessing? If so, the last name is good because it really keeps the brand aligned. Definitely want to make sure you're focusing on keywords like service business and land services in the copy of the About page. And he responded, yes, I have now started plugging the Skool community with CTAs at the beginning and end of each episode. Thank you for the feedback. Much appreciated. I think I sent him a Loom video back after that, and he actually became a high-ticket client, which is really, really cool to see. Like, just engaging in another business community, I signed a high-ticket client. So, yeah, let's go through partnerships now. So partnerships are something that should be mutually beneficial. They should be non-competitive, and they should be built on trust. So this lady, Maureen, she generated 24K in 21 days. And the way she did that was not by going viral on social media, because we had 21 days. It's not going to happen. But instead, we basically found people in her niche, which is like, her niche is like buying businesses, which is kind of like what Cody Sanchez does, if you guys know her. So we went and we found a guy that like works with 9-to-5ers who want to basically start a business and get out of their job. And we went and he had like 60,000 followers, I think. And we went and just asked him like, hey, if we could do like a live stream and you promote it, would you be down to do that in exchange for like, affiliate? So we offered him, maybe it was like 40% affiliate, which is pretty good. And it helped a ton. Like, she had no following, and then all of a sudden this guy with 60,000 followers backed her up because, like they had a couple things in common. They were in the same niche, and so it worked really, really well. It's high leverage. It's also actually how I won the Skool games. Like, I had 2 or 3 joint webinars that I did with other marketing niches that were actually non-competitive. Like I said, non-competitive. But the one guy, he had a copywriting community. And instead of teaching like copywriters how to freelance, he was teaching communities how to do copywriting. And so he was like, if you want to come in here and find freelancers, go for it. There's a bunch of freelancers that I can't help in this community. And so he let me go live, and I gave him like a 20% commission, or it might have been 40. And then there's another one, and I forget if it was it was not copywriting, but it was basically the same. It was like ghostwriting for freelancers. But that guy let me go live as well, and I gave him an affiliate, and that was great. Like that stuff like really boosted my sales in the Skool games. So let's get into posting. We talked about Skool posts a bit, but value is relative. These are some points I think that really help when you're trying to market yourself, market your free community or your offer, or get people to watch your YouTube content. You want to keep these principles in mind when you're writing these posts or when you're even brainstorming what they're going to be about. Value is relative, but stories typically make the best post if you want to teach something. So if you do want to teach a point, keep that in mind. So wrapping up, what really makes you valuable inside a Skool community? I actually spelled school wrong, which is hilarious. That doesn't happen very often. I actually usually spell it wrong the other way around, but you want to help the owner make the community better. So you want conversational engagement. You want to join communities that are actually interesting to you. Beneficial posts, so posts that actually help members get closer to the promise of why they joined that community in the first place. And then obviously sharing stories. That's the best way to actually back up what you're talking about. So that's all on just like branding on Skool. And I think like the next step that you guys are probably all wondering, which is like, the next step that kind of brings everything together is like, how do I actually get people into my community? Like, what's the funnel? What's the actual, like, boiling it down? Obviously people are coming from Skool, but like, where are they coming from outside of Skool? Obviously I've talked about YouTube, but how does that look? That's what we're talking about in the next video. So yeah, I will see you guys over there. And as always, you can go to the classroom and you can go to whatever module you're in right now, and there will be some type of let me like find a good example of this. There'll be some type of link in the bottom. Why am I struggling to find like the actual, maybe it's in the other one, but I'm just trying to show you guys an example, like here. So there'll be some type of link, and that's going to help you guys with the Skool posts. So I'll see you guys in the next video where we're going to talk all about driving big numbers of traffic to your free. And I'm going to talk about how I got the other half of my free community members there in literally just a few weeks. So I'll see you. All right, guys, this is probably my favorite video of the entire course. It's all about how to actually drive leads to your Skool community, which gives you the proof of concept. And if you're trying to drive organic leads on Skool, that's great, but you need another source of leads in order to like really get that initial momentum. So we're going to be talking about the ultimate funnel to drive leads. This is the one that I've used for all of my clients to help generate $3 million across the different Skool communities that I've worked with, and also generate $500,000 for myself. So let's get into it. Let me share screen, make myself a little bit smaller. Funnels on Skool. So make myself smaller again. This is a funnel that's made me $500K. So YouTube and Skool go to a link in the description. YouTube goes to a link in the description. Skool goes directly to a call or to a free community. So that applies to both of these. They either go to a call or a free community. I'll show you kind of what that funnel looks like from YouTube when you've got a book a call link to an actual web page, because you can build out a whole fancy landing page if you're on Go High Level, and that's all fun, but like you don't need to. I used to just send YouTube traffic to a calendar page, but I would say like having a funnel page is nice. I just don't think it's necessary. Then you take them to a paid community, and that's where you can sell them on your initial product and then get into upsells, downsells, ongoing like revenue if you're doing MRR, and then also just like rollovers, which is a great way if you get people to join. Let's say you've got kind of like a product that you're putting as your front end offer, where maybe it's like a $200, like for me, for example, a front end offer for me could be like a $300 about page review. And then that person buys $300 about page review, and then I upsell them. I'm like, hey, I'll credit the $300 you spent for the about page review to write your welcome sequence. And normally I charge $3,500. You can get it for $3,200, blah, blah, blah. And I might even give them a bigger discount. So that's how you use that. And that's all like talked out in Hormozi's money models, which you guys can watch in the Schoolers group. I'll just show you really quick. You literally just go to Schoolers, you go to Classroom, you go to money models, and then you go and you watch it, and clearly I've watched all of it. So anyways, back to the funnel. So let's just talk about this little step right here. That link in the description can go to a sales page, or it can go to a calendar page. I'm going to show you some examples of sales pages that I've helped build and like my own sales page. So this is one of my clients, Max, who I've talked about a lot. And it's basically just a page where there's a VSL and it has a CTA to book a call, has a ton of proof on it, looks super nice. And this is just going to help you get calls booked if you've got a high ticket or if you're a service provider. Now, this is mine. See if it'll work because I haven't actually updated. Yeah, it does work. Sweet. So yeah, how I generated $44,000 for Michael in 30 days on Skool. So yeah, just like proof, etc. But that's totally optional. Like I said, it is fun to build and they're pretty quick to build. You can use some cool stuff with like AI coding, just using ChatGPT, totally free. So anyways, let's move on to YouTube. And YouTube seems like amorphous. I'm going to make myself full screen for a second. It seems like really overwhelming to beginners is what I've noticed, and also what I experienced, because I think a lot of people think they need like 5 or 10 or 15,000 or maybe 100,000 followers in order to get calls booked. And I'll tell you right now, when I started getting calls booked last year, I had 200 followers, 200 subscribers. And I was getting calls booked like at least once a week. And then when I got to about 500 subscribers, I was getting calls booked every single day. And then by the end of the summer, so I started posting YouTube content in April. By the end of the summer, I had 700 subscribers roughly, maybe like 750. And I had made $20,000 from YouTube alone. So you don't need a bunch of subscribers. You just need to start posting content. Let's talk about what kind of content to post. Okay? So create short, friendly videos that answer your audience's biggest questions and showcase case studies. Basically solve their pain points. And I'll get into how you actually figure out what those are. Or create long masterclass type videos that prove you know your stuff. And now I've got some examples of both of these. So aim for 1 to 2 videos per week to build like consistency and train the algorithm without burning out. But if you're really a go-getter and you want to make this happen a bit faster, then create 3. That's my goal personally, like per week is 3 videos, but minimum 2. So this is an example of a video that did really well, 0 to 10K, free 1.5 hour copywriting masterclass. I spent a ton of time creating this, recording it, and that video got 3,400 views, which for my channel at the time was a ton of views, still is a ton of views, and it got so many calls booked. This video took me about 10 minutes to film, edit, and create, and got 2,020 views, which is also really freaking good. So you can make both types of content. I would say, like, at least for me, I don't do like too many 30-minute videos. I do a lot of really long videos and really short videos, and those seem to do well. So I would keep it simple, and I would do a mix of the two. I don't do these videos like on a weekly basis. I do those maybe like every other month. So mostly it's these videos. Okay, find your audience's pain points. Oh, another misspell. But look on Reddit. Watch competitors' YouTube content. That's how you're going to come up with some YouTube ideas. You're going to read some Reddit posts and get their really authentic feelings, struggles, and excuses. And excuses are going to be your best content. If people say, oh, I've no followers, I can't get sales calls booked. Well, guess what? My next YouTube video would be like, how to get sales calls booked with less than 100 subscribers. And I'll just tell how I did it, right? Like, just post content. Just post content that solves problems. And then you want to read competitors' comments. So I do this all the time. When I bring on a new client, I always ask them, who are your best competitors? So I can go and basically like stalk them and like read their comments and see what their people are saying as problems, questions, excuses, and then I incorporate that into my client's copy. All right, so variables that change the strategy are like your niche. So like your niche, maybe like I have one client who is in a niche that there's almost no competitors for. So maybe he has to go and look at people's questions that are in a totally different niche. Like he does freelancer work for like web designers, or he teaches web designer freelancers that create templates, which is like super niche, and nobody else really teaches that. So I told him, I was like, go look at what people are saying in copywriting, look at what they're saying in like maybe like Canva design niches, like look at similar stuff that's different, because your niche is not super big, it's not built out yet. And that's actually like, that can be a really good competitive advantage. So I gave him like 1 email to send. He booked 10 calls from that 1 email, made 5 course sales from literally, I think he also made a post in his free Skool community, which is like maybe 1.6 thousand. So that was crazy. But like I told him, like, you're not going to be able to follow the same protocols as everyone because of how nuanced your niche is. Consistency. So if you're just consistent with YouTube, then you might want to rethink this strategy, because like you might notice that a different kind of video goes viral, or you might notice that these don't do well, but these do really well. And then maybe it's worth creating less videos, but more long form. So these are some of the things that just like change the variables. And I made these videos with very low confidence and very little experience, and it works. So that's not your excuse, guys. Anyways, you want to basically invite your viewers to your Skool community for more help, where you can just nurture them into paying clients. So you can either basically CTA for them to book a call or CTA for them to join your free community. I do both. So this is an example where I'm like, if you want help signing your first client, book a call below. And that got a bunch of calls booked. And then I also have ones where it's a free community. But I think the best way to do it, and this is what I do a lot of times, is like, it's the CTA in the video says book a call. First link in my description is book a call. Second link in my description is basically just like free community. It's always there. It's always available. And I get a ton of people that join my free community every day. So I think they must just go and scroll down in my YouTube description and like click that. But I also get a bunch of book calls, and that's kind of what I optimize for. So if you're selling high ticket, you should be optimizing for book calls, but you should not be sleeping on the asset of a free community, because your free community is like, we'll talk a little more about this. Your free community will be the best thing you ever build if you build it right. So we've talked a lot about how to build it, but I'm going to talk more about that in a second. All right. So this is just some examples of people I study. I found videos that were like outliers. So like this girl, at the time she posted this, had like 6,000 followers, got 200K plus views. This guy got like 16,000 views or something, maybe had like 3 or 4K at the time. I forget the exact numbers on her, but I basically was looking for people in my niche that were teaching copywriting and were getting more views than like subscribers. So that's the goal there. And then let's talk about the value of a free community. All right. And this is like why you should send people to your free. So your free community acts as an asset. It captures leads, builds trust and proof of concept, because you're able to teach something in the free community, just like this free course that I'm doing. And it gives you direct access to prospects without relying on algorithms. So like if you're just building a free community on like YouTube and you're like, oh, this is my free. Well, like you can't DM those people. You can't send them an email. You can't like connect with them on Instagram. Whereas on Skool, I can literally go to my Skool community. Let's X out of this funnel here. And let's go to Skool. So if I go here and I want to go and like talk to a member, let's say, I could go and click the member's profile. I could chat. I could go and look and stalk him on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. And I can also like just make posts and like tag this person, right? Like that's really freaking cool. You can't do that on YouTube. So it's a very different kind of asset. But the other reason it's different is because YouTube could like kind of blacklist you. You could start getting 50 views on your video even though you've got 3,000 subs. And that just sucks. It just means the algorithm's like not in your favor right now, and it happens. You can go through a slump. But on Skool, you can pretty much guarantee people see your stuff, because Skool's got 70+% average open rates. But not only that, let's say your open rates suck. You can just email people or DM them, or get on a live call and put it in the Skool classroom. Like you've got this asset here. You've got the classroom, you've got the calendar, you can go live here. There's the feature now where you can literally go live. Like you just click a button and go live. Organic on Skool. You don't even need a Zoom link. So that's pretty cool. Now, let's talk about pricing psychology. You get all these people into your free community, you're getting on sales calls from YouTube content, and now you're like, what the frick do I charge? Well, it depends what your offer is, right? Like we talked about offers, but there's a lot of psychology behind it, especially with Skool. So a lot of people try and charge something like this, like $77 a month, which is great if you've got a big following, like that guy we talked about at the very beginning. So this guy, Nick Sarev, let's see if we can pull up his content. So he's got 193,000 subscribers, and he charges $184 a month. And the reason he can do that is because he's got so many subscribers. So as soon as people churn from this group, new people join, all right? What's going to happen if you do that is people are going to churn after a while, and then you're going to always be like trying to play catch up and never really able to scale, because you're just going to be replacing the people leaving. So I've done this pricing model. I'm speaking from experience. It's great if it's like your second source of income, but if you're getting started and you want to make money, you want to do something high ticket. And I don't just mean $99 a month or $999 a month. That's good. That's how I won the Skool games. It does work. You can do it. The issue is that you're asking people to buy something from you every single month. And if they have a month where they slump, or they have a month where your process doesn't work for them, they'll just leave. Whereas if you charge them over a longer time horizon, they have more time to get a win. So let's say, for example, you do something like an annual membership. That's what Max does in his community. So he charges super high ticket, but he does it annually. And he charges between like 5 and 25K. And people don't have to get a result in the first month and then pay another $99 or $999. They get a whole year to get that win. And it's just like a way bigger win, but way more time to do it. And people usually overestimate what they can do in a month and then underestimate what they can do in a year. And when people overestimate what they can do in a month and they don't get their goal, they're way more likely to churn from your group and just stop paying and not come back than if you charge them over a year, or maybe they underestimate what they can do, and then they get really excited at the end when they've accomplished a lot. And then obviously free. Like, you want something that's free, whether it's just your YouTube content or you have a free community like I suggest. That's where you start to build goodwill and trust. And if you saw Hormozi's book launch, he cashed in on a ton of free value that he's been giving for the last 5 years. And he's been making YouTube content, not selling much, and now he's made, this book and all these upsells and these coaching offers, and he was able to do like something crazy, 110 or $120 million in a span of a weekend, which is like the total amount of money that people like Iman Ghazi have made in their entire life with info. So it's crazy. But yeah, that's pricing. The next thing we're going to get into is offers. All right, guys, you have the fundamentals of how to post, how to comment, how to create an about page, how to build a brand, how to drive traffic. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of your offer so that as you're driving traffic, you can perfect that and capture more of the leads that are interested in your promise. Now, I'm going to make this one super short, super actionable, and these are some of the principles I spent thousands of dollars last year to learn. So let me go to the next slide. Offers, right? So offers are the fundamental thing that are going to really help you sell. Like, if you have a bunch of traffic and your offer just sucks, then it doesn't matter. Even if your copywriting is so good, but your offer's not there, it doesn't matter. You're not going to make sales. And so the best copy in the world can't sell a bad offer. But even the worst copy in the world could sell a good offer. So let's get into the offers that actually work. So these are offers that tap into core human desires. So the core human desires that actually sell are looking better, making more money, getting out of pain, or finding love. Now, there's a kind of caveat to this. So if you're selling an offer for like $30 a month, you can sell whatever the heck you want. People will buy it. It could be like how to paint your nails. It could be how to train your rabbit, like how to walk your dog. Like, it could be anything. People will pay $30 for just about anything, right? So these are applicable to offers that you want to charge more than $1,000 for. It has to tap into a human psychological need. People will not buy a $1,000 offer on how to not procrastinate or how to feel more confident. Those are just personally offers that I've like tried to help people with, and they don't sell, not for high ticket. Because number one, the avatar being someone that's like not confident or someone that procrastinates, it's not a great avatar to start with. And then number two, the end result, like we talked about before, that end result has to be quantifiable, and it's not quantifiable if you're talking about confidence or just something vague. It's just not going to work. So you want to make it about beauty, which is this one, looking better. That could equal losing weight, gaining weight, building muscle. It could be some type of like hair type offer, but generally the ones that sell for over $1,000 are like losing weight, gaining muscle, like building tone, maybe something around like style and stuff like that for a very high ticket avatar. But yeah, then making more money, that one sells very easily. I always recommend copywriters like help people in that niche because it's really easy to sell. Getting out of pain, by that pain, I mean chronic physical pain. So like chronic back pain, not emotional pain, not like how to get not depressed or something like that. Like that is, as much as your intentions are great, it's not going to sell. So you want to really have something that's measurable at the end. Finding love, like relationships, romantic relationships, not friendship. People will not pay thousands of dollars for friendships. They will pay thousands of dollars to get like a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or even just if you promise them 10 dates. Like that lady I talked to you about, Dating with Gracie. She's got a community where she actually helps men basically just find dates. Let's go to her community. Let's go to Skool. And by the way, guys, this is where you can just go and find who is performing right now. So let's see. We've got hobbies, money, spirituality, tech, health, sports, self-improvement, relationships. Let's see if we can find Dating with Gracie here. Okay, so we've got screen time challenge. Oh, wait. She's not here. Where is she? Well, let's just use like this guy as an example, Sean. So he's in the dating niche, and let's see, he charges $49 a month. So it's kind of a hard example because he's got a vague promise. Just meet, attract, and keep beautiful women. Get your girlfriend. So like he's not saying like get a girlfriend in X amount of time. Although, yeah, he is saying get a girlfriend, so I'll give him that. Let's see. Let's find someone that's making like bank right now. Let's just see what this lady does. So she charges a little bit higher ticket, $97 a month. She helps divorced women, it looks like. Top-rated monthly membership, thoughtfully designed to be your ultimate support system as you heal and thrive after divorce. Okay, not really the example I'm going for. Let's see if we can find Gracie. Okay, I just found another example of a community that is like kind of relationship based, but very specific. So this is actually a friend of mine, Matthew Thompson, and he's got a challenge basically that he markets, and it's a screen-free challenge, but he says this free 7-day challenge will help you reclaim your relationships by getting 1 month of free time a year back from screens. So that's very specific and measurable. And it's actually, he's doing a great job with it. He says free because if there's a free 7-day trial, it is $99 a month, but I can send you guys the link for that. I'll put it below this video. But yeah, that's a great example of a relationship kind of focused community that has a tangible promise to it, right? So yeah, anyways, if your offer doesn't clearly connect with one of these, it's going to feel like a nice to have instead of a must to have. So like I talked about, guys, if you're selling something for like $50 a month, then it can feel like something that's nice to have. People pay $50 for lots of things that are nice to have. I know plenty of girls that pay $50 every 3 weeks to get their nails done. They don't need to have their nails done. It's just nice to have their nails done, right? You can clearly see I don't get my nails done. Well, maybe you can't clearly see, but I don't. This is the first time I've painted my nails in like a year. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, so you want to make sure your offer feels like it's a must-have if you're selling high ticket. So beauty, money, health, and love are the things that people really pay for. And like health it sounds kind of vague. People will not pay for mental health. People will not pay for emotional health. They will not pay for spiritual health. They will pay for chronic pain and getting out of it, basically. All right? Action items. So this is what you want to do to actually apply these offer principles. So does your offer clearly make somebody more attractive, wealthier, pain-free, or desirable? Those are the things to ask yourself. By desirable, I mean like more beautiful, lose weight, help them fit into their old jeans, help them tone up, build muscle, whatever it is. Okay? Then you want to build your community promise around solving that one problem directly, landing your first client or losing 5 pounds, making your first 5K, etc. And refine until you can say in one sentence who you help and what you help them achieve in the time frame or without a common pain point. All right? So like I could say, I help copywriters get their first 5 clients without cold outreach. Okay? So I've just said who I help, in the time frame I help them, and without like a pain point that they don't want to do. Okay? Now, I think the next thing is we're going to talk about the first sale. And yeah, to make a sale in 30 days, there's like, just keeping it really simple, guys. Like if you're new to this, you just want to get a sale and you want to make it really easy. If you already are building a thriving community, you've already got sales, you're already crushing it. This is stuff that you can still use to continue to increase your revenue. You should not be plateauing. If you're on Skool, you should be growing every single month. All right. So message 20 to 30 people that you know, whether they're on Skool, whether they're off Skool, whether they're contacts of your parents, whether they're old people that you worked with, or whether they're like people from your church. I don't care. Get creative. Message 20 to 30 people and ask, do you know anyone who needs XYZ? Whatever your niche is, whatever you're offering, if you're a service-based person. When I started copywriting, I messaged 40 people. So I actually made this easy for you guys, 20 to 30. I messaged 40 people in a week. And I asked them, hey, do you know anyone who needs a copywriter? Just started copywriting, been getting some good results with XYZ copy. I was actually just sending it out for myself. But yeah, you got to talk yourself up a bit. And that worked really good. That's how I got my initial sales calls. Post 2 to 3 YouTube videos every single week. There's no excuse for not posting. Be active in Skool communities related to your offer. That's how you're going to build that brand, like we talked about. And it's also how you're going to get leads into your free community. So bonus, go to some in-person events related to your offer. When I hit my first 10K month, it was because I went to 2 back-to-back events, and I just went and talked to every business owner there and would ask them about their business, ask them about their offer. And because I was doing that, then like people just like trusted me, and they also trusted that I knew about their business. And they would ask, oh, what do you do? After they talked, for 20 minutes telling me about their business. And I would tell them I was a copywriter. And all of a sudden there was so much goodwill because they just talked for 20 minutes, and people love to talk. And so that's what really, really helped me make my first 10K. But yeah, like if you're not in a place where there's a lot of events, you can attend a bunch of digital masterminds, online like mastermind stuff like that, and I've got clients from those as well. Probably more actually from like online events than in person, just because I can go to more. But if I talk about like the amount of sales I make from one in-person event versus one online event, it definitely skews more towards in-person. There's just not as many of them. So yeah. So you want to price high ticket, but offer a deal to your first 5 customers. Anchor them first. So Hormozy has a great saying that like you should have a price or a product so high ticket that you never plan on selling it. And that's what you should price anchor them with. And then use proposals to upsell. So I've got some really awesome proposal templates that I give to my copywriting students that you guys can book a call if you want to hear more about that. But use proposals to upsell. Be strategic with how you price anchor in proposals and add on some extra things to your proposals that people maybe didn't even think they needed, because more times than not, a customer will upsell themselves if there's an option to. All right. Now, the 2-call close, that's just something that I use to get people across the line and not waste my time on hour-long sales calls. So if I get like a call booked from YouTube or Skool or whatever, I'm going to get on a call with them and I'm going to figure out what they actually need, map out a game plan with them, and this is a discovery call. So we build some comfort, we filter them, and then like I let them know kind of the range of my pricing. From there, we either book an in-depth call or they go and they enjoy my free resources and they don't get on the call. But if they do book the call, that's where we explain the pain points or we explore the pain points and then sell them. And the high-ticket client comes after those 2 calls. It's actually something that happens in a really, really short time frame as well. Like, it doesn't really lengthen your time horizon to close. But it works really, really good, especially if you're a beginner and you're just learning sales. Use the 2-call close. You just want to have a discovery call. You ask them some qualifying questions, make sure they have the funds to invest, and then get them on a longer call where you can find out if they are the perfect fit for the program you offer. And you can give them the price and you can process the payment on that call. All right? There is just one video left after this, guys. This has been so fun. I filmed this all in one day, by the way. I don't know if you guys can see, like, the sun is setting behind me. But I'm at this really cool Airbnb in Wales, which it's gorgeous. So I'm going to see you guys in the last final video of this course. And then, yeah, let me know your thoughts and stuff. Like, as you're going through these videos, post about them, ask questions, clarify, and use the templates that I'm linking below. And I'll see you guys soon. Okay, this video is all about just setting you guys up for the long game. It's going to be super short, but it's talking about kind of the things that you're probably not thinking about right now, the domino effect that happens after you've built a brand, after you've built a community, after you start putting out content, and the things you probably want to consider now to make sure you're putting out the kind of content and creating the kind of brand that you want to have long term. All right, so basically, we're going to talk about content planning. So I've got this great little spreadsheet that I use for my clients. And this is just how I keep track of all the content I'm doing for each individual client. I've got an individual spreadsheet. You guys should use the spreadsheet, and I'm going to give you guys a copy. Don't have the copy up, I don't think. Let's see. No, I don't have it up, but I'm going to link it below. It's basically this, but it's just blank. All right, so it looks like, no, it doesn't look like that. Yeah, it looks like this. So it's just like something where you can go and you can put different YouTube video ideas, put your emails in there, put your Skool posts, keep track of it, because you're not tracking the open rates, and you're not tracking how things are performing, and you're not future planning for the content you're going to put out. You just won't put out the content, or you won't put out the right kind of content because you won't be measuring what's actually working. So this is a place where I both plan out content and measure what's working. All right, let's go back to this presentation really quick. Now you want to make sure you've got the text set up with your email deliverability. You want to make sure that's good to go, so when you're sending emails out, you're not burning through your list. Because if you send emails out and you haven't warmed up your email with something like Instantly, something like warm.io, something to basically show Google that you're a normal sender and not a spammer, you're going to burn your list and you're going to burn through it fast. So you want to make sure you set that up, have a good CRM, measure your open rates and your delivery, your basically like click-through rates. Those are the 3 metrics I would focus on. Your open rate just means how many people opened your email. Click-through rate means how many people clicked whatever you promoted in the email. And then like delivery is just how many people got the email in the first place. All right, like if any of those are really, really low, you want to probably check in, see if it's a copy issue or if it's a list issue. Obviously, you need Skool. That's where I'll be blasting out a lot of emails because you don't have to worry about email deliverability. It always gets delivered, and it's 70+% open rate. And then the only other thing you need to be successful with Skool and with like freelancing is Google Docs. That's where I write all of my posts. Keep it super, super simple. All right, now bonus, when you start to scale, you're going to start to outsource. You're going to start to build a team, and you're basically just going, I've got 10% left. You're basically just going to bring on people that can help you. And I think a lot of people do this too soon. Like when I first hit 10K, I remember people were pressuring me to hire team members. They were basically telling me that like you're not going to be able to scale, or you shouldn't be doing this amount of work, and you should bring together a team. And it was way too soon, and I trusted my intuition that it was too soon, even though I didn't really have any way to know that because like these were people making way more money than me telling me I should build a team. But I waited till I got to 30K, and then I hired a team, and I thought that was the right time, and it was still too soon. So I actually like sacrificed a lot of profit margins and spent a lot more time running the business than when I went back to just working it myself. But when I went back to just working it myself, I didn't just decide to do all the work and all the manual stuff that I was having my team do. I built out systems and AI agents and automations to take care of all like this stupid stuff that is just gonna like take up your time and eat away at your life, because you should not be the one that's like going and like doing all the research if you're a freelance copywriter or if you're a content creator and you're building your Skool community. You should have like some scrapers, have some agents, some AI agents that are doing that for you. And that's really simple. There's tons of videos on that, but like we can definitely talk more about that inside the community. But when it comes to outsourcing, don't outsource too soon. Like seriously, just trust me on that. I lost tens of thousands of dollars to outsourcing to people that simply couldn't do the job as well as me and couldn't even do the job as well as AI. So last one is classroom upsells. So when you guys are building out your classroom, you want to be strategic with it, okay? Like in my free community, there's all these links to book a call. And the goal is to identify the people that are really looking to grow fast and to get them on the call so I can see if I can help them. And you'll see, let's see, read this first, maybe has it? No, it's in the masterclass. But you'll see throughout these course modules, there's like CTAs to book a call. So there should be a CTA here. And sometimes there's even CTAs in my classroom, or in obviously in my classroom, in my calendar. And you can be really strategic. Like when you teach something, if people want help implementing it, have an option to book a call because they probably want to talk to you. You're the expert. You're the person they signed up to learn from because you've done the thing that they want. You've achieved the outcome they want. So leverage that. Like get on calls with them or, set the calls. But initially, going back to the outsourcing thing, I don't think you should outsource your calls right away because you need to learn about your avatar. Unless you're at the point where there's like calls booked up every hour of the day, don't outsource it yet. Like take the calls. This is what you signed up for. Build the business. And then when you get to the point where it's not even physically possible for you to take all the calls, outsource them and outsource them all and go back to building your product. But initially, you want to get the intel to actually build a product that people want. And you're going to do that through getting on your sales calls. But anyway, hopefully this was valuable to you guys. You got literally everything that I know about like building Skool communities, big picture, that I've used to build the communities for my clients. They use like the things I've used to generate millions of dollars for them and book them calls, book out their calendars, create content that goes viral, create content that converts, and create webinars that convert, like all those things. I'm giving you guys the templates to use them. And I'll see you guys inside the community. Keep crushing it.